na tinak dhin dhage 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 na tinak dhin.
Every day I wake, I make my mind up. I'ma be the one, be the truth, be the way. Yeah. Every day I wake, I make my mind up. Gotta keep my mind on the because they only telling their side of the story. Out here telling lies like they on Maroon. And poor rich kids get their money on phone it. But down here in the hood, yeah, we know Forex. We growing up, yeah. We got the goods. Good of them assets, good of my bag. Get rid of cash before the whole market crash. A news flash, just a blast from the past. We gonna smash it. Be prepared to hit the gas, yeah.
Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, yeah, we travel.
Try it.
Blood eye, yeah, we travel.
Woo. That's my child. Woo.
Blood eye, yeah, we travel. Hey, hey, hit him with the higher, yeah. Sherry know I got from Virginia, yeah.
I know I'm more because I'm blessed. I know I'm more. I passed the test.
We got to see with the true eyes. We need some brand new bright ideas. We got the hearts and some great minds, yeah. If we could all just be sincere.
Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, yeah, we travel.
Try it.
Blood eye, yeah, we travel.
Woo. That's my child. Woo.
Blood eye, yeah, we travel. Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, yeah, we travel. Hey, hey, hit him with the higher, yeah.
Peace to the party. Shahom boy back again. Hey, so appreciate y'all coming out to Sunday service. Got a hell of a show for y'all once again. Going talking about manifest destiny today. All right, we got Travis, aka Handsome History. He got the rebrand going on, so forgive me, I'll let him reintroduce that to y'all. But before we get to the bill for the day, we got to start in Minnesota, bro. So I've been seeing this on social media. I'm pretty sure you have been too, about this whole back and forth with the Somali fraud that they exposed in Minnesota, right? And then, you know, in context of these type of situations, we care about not saying everybody else ain't important, but obviously if we're going to do work in our own community, we need to know what are we saying about it? And it's pretty crazy because I see people saying that we should be in support of what Trump so-called said, and they acting like he being racist, this, that, and the third, right? So, you know, we had to go listen to it for ourselves, analyze the facts, and then come back with it, right? So let's take it to the other side. Let's play. I want y'all to hear what he said that got people in a outrage and then in an uproar, and then we'll go dig into it a little bit. So let's start there.
On to Walls, Mr. President. Do you think he should resign over the fraud scandal
Hey, y'all let me know if the audio's straight on the video.
in his state?
And who should?
Tim Walz, over the fraud scandal in his state.
Look, I think the man's a grossly incompetent man. I thought that from the day I watched JD destroy him in the debate. I was saying, who was more incompetent, that man or my man? I had a man and he had a man. They were both incompetent, and I had a man and a woman. I thought she was very incompetent too, but now she's leading the field, and I think she's leading the field in this, for the nomination. Anyway, look, that's up to them. That's up to the Democrats. You know, the problem with them is they have really bad policy. And I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want him to change it necessarily because I want to run against it. Whether it's not going to be me, it's going to be somebody that's going to probably sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people running together sitting at this table, you know. But I want them to win because we've done a great job for this country, and I want that to be carried forward. And you know, I think we have a tremendous bench, really a tremendous bench. But no, I think that Waltz is a grossly incompetent man. There's something wrong with him. Okay, there's something wrong with him. And when you look at what he's done with Somalia, which is barely a country, you know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. And when I see somebody like Ilhan Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place. Hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody. And I think she's an incompetent person. She's a real terrible person. But when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes or however many lakes they have, they got a lot of lakes, but this beautiful place, and I see these people ripping it off. And now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at that, Scott. I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that
I ain't gonna lie, that's funny as hell.
about other countries too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other. And we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Hey, so people, one thing that I've come to realize, so yeah, exactly this right here. People do not like when you have no filter and you say what it is from your point of view. That don't mean that you're 100% right, but then we have the ability to go check behind things that people say, right? To see if they have a reason to be speaking the way that they do. So instantly when he said what he said, they attributed this situation and those people to all black people, and that he is racist. He don't like Africa. He don't like, they're pushing that whole narrative. So then, once you see the headline, the beautiful thing about social media is we can go hear what the people got to say. What's the first reaction from different American citizens in regards to this, especially people that are in this area? So this is the first thing right here.
Get this straight. Y'all calling Trump a racist for holding these Somalians accountable, cheating the system, and 88% of them are on welfare. So that means us hardworking Americans getting all these taxes taken out. And 80 of these cents are using them. referring to Somalia, but she's in the United States and she's in the office. She works for the government. She is a politician. What kind of shit is this? You would never see an American go to another country, get in office, refer to our country, speaking about America in that country. I hope I made sense. Are y'all cooked? Not to mention, Tim Walz is running Minnesota as governor. Like, what happened to our country, bro? Like, this shit is crazy, bro. It's so bad that I'm seeing Democrats who don't even like Trump, and they're like, I actually agree with him on this. I don't like him. I still think he's a dickhead, but I agree with him on this. And then let's play a game of switch the roles. Put any other president in Trump's place right now, taking a stand on all of this madness that's happening. And y'all would not have an issue with it. Y'all only mad because it's Trump. Y'all soft as hell, so y'all don't like his delivery. And a lot of y'all wish y'all had the balls to, stand on business like that. You wish you can put your opinion out there like that, but you're too scared to. So Trump rubs you the wrong way because you know your bitch ass can't do it.
Hey, so a lot of truth to what he's saying. Because when I first heard this, in my mind, I'm thinking, why would we, as the Black Americans, support this going on? Like, I remember somebody brought this up in the video. Matter of fact, I think it was Anton Daniels. It was another creator, and they was basically like, when the PPP loan came out and just that whole series of funding. Matter of fact, when he was in office, right? And a whole bunch of Black people was able to be involved, whether 100% legitimate or not. I remember, and still to this day, you'll see little rumblings of it. Man, people was ready for something to happen for anybody who got a piece of that money. They was literally rooting on the downfall. So we was tripping in when it's to benefit all Americans, right? Even you. But then now we got the Somalis who took advantage, not every single one of them, but we're going to get into the story. There is a large group, majority Somali, who was able to pull this off and have gained a large foothold in Minnesota because of this. This ain't no rumor. I done went and looked it up. All right. So follow me on what I'm saying. This is the viewpoint I'm thinking right away. Knowing how we chase our lineage, we know our story here. Why would we want anybody else to profit off of what's built here, off of our labor, our ancestry, XYZ, and then let other people benefit when it don't come to us first? That don't make any sense to me, right? So I'm in alignment with what he's saying, but then I'm seeing others come in and say, hey, same thing happened in my city too. Check this out.
Come see Columbus, Ohio, fraud investigators. If you go to the government-assisted housing areas, you will find that most of the housing is Somalians. I would say about 80% of the government-assisted housing in Columbus is occupied by Somalians. And the parking lot is occupied with a whole bunch of brand new cars. And the women walking around have designer purses with EBT cards, and they have Apple iPhones stuck up in their hijabs. Yeah. And then go to the businesses that are owned by the men. Because see, what happens is when you have a restaurant or when you have a little corner store and you have a couple of wives and you only have to claim one, then that means the other wives get EBT cards, and you can use those EBT cards to buy food for your store or your restaurant. Yeah. Or what you can do is you can get a home health aid company. And then you only hire Somalians to work the home health aid. And what you do is you just make sure their paperwork looks right. It don't have to be right, but you just make sure it looks right. And then you send them off for those home health aid jobs. Y'all don't want to talk about fraud.
So when I heard that, all right, so I got some ammunition. It's really something going on in Minnesota. This ain't just a media thing, right? So we checking all boxes. So then come to find out, the whole time prior to the election, I was breaking down certain things that was happening on the Democratic side in regards to them being so pro-immigration. They had a lot of things backing that, mainly they were building a political bloc. But the way that they was able to get them is what make this get real deep. Because I told y'all firsthand, I be flying all around the United States, and I went to Minneapolis, the airport there. The first time I ever seen this before, and the workers in the airport was majority Somalian. All right, so you can tell a lot about the city based on who work in the airport. Just for example, you go to Atlanta, it's gonna be buku Black Americans, and you got some Caribbeans, others too. But you know it's Black Americans and it's Black. You know what I'm saying? Southern Black type of, you feel me? Minnesota though, in Minneapolis, buku Somali. I'm talking about from the fast food to the ones driving the carts to you name it. You feel me? They was deep in there. And they had a lot of programs tied. And that boy Tim Walz, it's been a lot going on with him. So if you connecting the dots, you kind of see what it's going. All right. So then, what I don't like personally is when people come to this country and they got disdain or disregard for what we done been through, and it's not the same situation. And they keep making it seem like they were starting from absolute zero and had the same things happen with us. And it's just not true, bro. And when they get to talking greasy whole time, there's a lot of y'all trying to be on the kumbaya. We really look crazy because we're not protecting our own self-interest. And they trying to get over here and get to it and then invest in where they from, not here. They take it from here to go put it where they really want it. So me personally, I got a problem with that. I ain't gonna lie to you. So they been going, the Somalian community been going crazy. They trolling right now on TikTok. So talking real greasy. Check this one out.
A proud Somali American and Minnesota's lawyer, I thought I would say my 2 cents of what's going on in the world right now. First things first, I'm actually so shocked that Trump is attacking us. I think Trump should be thanking us in multiple ways, and I'm going to explain. First things first, I think we are a good example of what the American dream can look like. Like Somali Americans, and it's making me sad and it's funny. Like I know Somali people are very funny. We're like the class clan who also happens to be valedictorian. Somalis in Minnesota are so successful. I take multiple trips a year to Minnesota and I leave so inspired. You have Somali-owned law firms, Somali-owned pharmacies, Somali-owned everything you can think of. And it's so inspiring to see that what my community could do in just 30 years. Literally, we came to this country not speaking English, not knowing anything. We're Black, Muslim, we're immigrant, and we're able to be that successful. It should be really applauded. Like, I need Trump to stand up and applaud for us because it's shocking. Literally, my friend just moved to Minnesota and she was telling me how when she gave birth, it was an all Somali staff. Her midwife was Somali. Her doctors were Somali. Her nurses were Somali. Like, that is so beautiful to see and it should be celebrated, okay? Second of all, Trump, you should be thanking my people for giving a random Midwestern state that much clout and money. Like, I don't think, other than Chicago, I think Minnesota is really popping when it comes to tourism because of Somali Americans like me, okay? So you should be thanking us because Minnesota would have been nothing if Somalis didn't move there. Like, if we're being honest, like, we have made that state pop and we have made it beautiful for the rest of the world. So you should thank us, and if you want, you can donate Minnesota to the great country of Somalia. Like, I think it's a nice trade-off. And last but not least, I'm so happy that people are discovering how funny, witty Somali people are. We're very confident. And although Trump said what he had to say, like, I want him to know, Yani, like, it didn't even, like, bother. Like, it didn't do anything to our confidence. We've heard everything you've said before. People always make fun of Somalia, da-da-da. But I still think I'm better than everyone. Like, God has made me Somali Muhammad. Like, I'm okay. I'm okay. On top of that, I'm Somali American, broski. Like, I'm winning on both sides. But yeah, it's just nice to see that everyone's realizing Somali people are very funny, very confident. And that's never going to change. It has not changed since colonial days, baby boy. And it's not going to change because somebody right now decided to make fun of us. We're actually winning the war, so. But yeah, that's all I have to say. And to the people of Minnesota, I love you. I'll forever support you. I'll forever take my birthright trip to Minnesota. Actually, I am going to be visiting soon. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I've been going there often since high school. It's so beautiful. I love it, and I'll forever love it. And I pray that God protects you, and may Allah make it easier for you guys. It's very scary, subhanAllah. But yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. Back to regular schedule programming. I'm going to make a...
See how they talking. So, like I say, a lot of trolling going on and feeling good. And to be clear, she not lying. They getting to it out there. So I'm not finna sit here and deny the facts. However, though, it's funny how what the facts are saying is what helped them accomplish this foothold in this area. All right. So we're gonna use this as another example of what we've been trying to tell y'all. It's a political play going on to where they get these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations who get money from the government for various programs. They can make up and call it anything. It don't matter. But the money has no oversight once it's allocated, and they can do whatever with it until somebody comes and audit what has been happening. The money is already ready and available. And this program that they have been participating in Minnesota goes back, like she just said, 30 years, bro. So it's been 30 years since they've been getting help from our government to be so-called refugees. So check it out. So this is these, like I said, the federal systems enable this. All right. So this is the role, and this is what they do. So the Office of Refugee Resettlement. So this is what funds it. So you can go look this up, go Google it. I heard somebody talking about it, so I had to go see if this is a real thing. So you can literally go to the website. It shows you the mission. It shows you, you know, what the premise of it is. So basically, any area that's designated by us as refugee, now it's a pathway into America, and they got this program for you. All right. So now you remember what's the whole talk been about from Trump from the beginning. He been saying immigration is going through the roof. The Democrats that enabled this immigration, bro. Whether you like this man or not. It's an actual fact that the policies that they was writing was definitely geared towards immigrants. All right, now why does this matter in this fraud case? Because of these immigrants being able to come in through these programs, they was guaranteed government benefits. Now, do y'all remember during the campaign, bro was saying is what Trump was saying, that they've been using government funds to house these people and then setting them up with no ID to be able to vote. Everybody's saying it was crazy. Whole time they literally here. Not saying that these Somalis are the ones that are the illegals now, because they've been doing this for 30 years. So every Somalian situation ain't gonna be the same. We got to use common sense. This ain't a new program. However, it's easily proven that when Biden was passing these immigration-friendly laws, labeling these people as refugees in Venezuela, Somalia, a lot of places. You feel what I'm saying? Ukraine. So it ain't just if you dark skinned or not. People keep doing this, trying to insert the racism shit versus if this is actually true or not. You know what I'm saying? So this is the whole play. We know this to be true. This is what they was doing. All right. So what they're saying is, now Trump then said $1 billion. I done seen 600 million. I done seen 250 million. Regardless, they are calling this one of the biggest fraud schemes in American government, money history, bro. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of what it is, they done really ran up a bag and been able to create community and infrastructure, even got people in office, bro. Like, we not seeing the play who is representing their interests. So we could actually, so truth be told, that's what it's like when you start trying to nation build. All right, so I can't knock them for that, because that's really what we should be doing. But whole time we're trying to show you examples of people that keep using this BIPOC, all these inclusive terms, so they can get the same thing that you get, even though our story is not the same and this is actually our land. Like, bro, I really be trying to explain this without getting mad, because we should feel played that they will be able to come here and do this and then mock us like they did everything clean without any assistance or help from the government. And it's just a flat out lie. You feel me? So, hey, I want y'all to tap in and tell me what y'all think. This is another example of why we should be more involved with what's going on, because we always like to say that certain things in a federal level don't affect us. But imagine what that money could have done in a historically Black community. You see what I'm saying? 250 million just into one area to one specific group of people. That's a lot of bread, bro. That changes generations. Like she just said earlier, 30 years. You feel me? Hopefully you understand where I'm tracking with this. So the incentive that everybody don't want to pay attention to is, if you bring these people in under your administration and you happen to be a Democrat or a Republican, who do you think they will be loyal to for the rest of their entirety? Because they're going to be thankful to get this opportunity to come into America. It's just really common sense, bro. So you don't have to be an expert to be able to be informed, because overall these people supposed to work for us, even though this is a whole this system that we're currently in isn't in its original version. And a lot of y'all don't care enough to learn American history to know whether that's true or not. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we're here to do. Educate, entertain, do our thing, network vibes. So this is just what we try to do to stay current, because we can't just always talk about the past, but we need the past to understand the current, and they all go together. So y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Chop it in the comments. Chop it up with me, bro. Let me know if you think Trump tripping, or do we have a reason to be looking into what not just the Somalis doing, but all the immigrants who come in here and get money off of us and look down on us as if we are beneath them and we take it. Even you'll be trying to go get employed from them, and instead of us dominating our own land. To me, that just would make the most sense. But hey, maybe the Gullah Mass Choir can convince y'all, because they pretty nice with it. So we're gonna take it over to them. We got a great show for y'all today. Like I said, we're gonna talk about Manifest Destiny. We got Travis pulling up, Mac already in the building. He in the studio now. So we're gonna take it over to Gullah Mass Choir for a second, bro. We'll come back after that, and we're gonna get back to the lecture, y'all. Hold tight.
Yes, Lord. We left this truth in harmony. They feed the world with the money that we get. Yet our little ones cry with so much life to live. Life to live. Life to live. We stand in the storm, still trusting in love. But when the table's set, who's feeding us? Who's feeding us? Who's feeding us? Who's feeding us? Millions were taken that belonged to the children. Food meant for their hands never reached the building. A system built the doorway and opened it wide. Gave others all the comfort while we stood outside. The officers in power, yeah, pouring out hate. When not one gentle blessing reached the neighborhoods we made. They keep saying equity, calling it trust, yet the blessings keep on flowing everywhere but us. They in the world with the money that we get. Yet our little ones cry. We show up faithful, standing strong and just. So in the table set, who's feeding us? Who's feeding us? We carry the burden of taxes and patience. Still we watch our schools fade in desperation. Silence for the fraud when it happens far away. But scared hands eyes on us whenever we stray. Our voices keep lifting each election year. Yet the love and protection never seem to come near. Promises repeated, settle in the dust, while resources in favor never fall us. Lift our hopes, Lord. Lift our hearts. No more hugs. Tell this nation who's feeding us. Who's feeding us? They feed the world with the money that we get. Let our little ones cry.
I cross. Tell us again. Who's feeding us? 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 Story round our footsteps, tried to paint us out the frame. They laid borders over blessings, turned our homelands into claims, pulled our nations into silence, wrote new titles on our names, said the copper in our skin was from a people born afar. But the records and the bloodline tell the truth they couldn't borrow.
Every doctrine they constructed tried to shift our destiny. From the treaties to the censuses, all made to override the seed. They tried to name us,
but that ain't our destiny.
They tried to frame us
with a map and a decree.
They tried to tame us,
hide the nations we would be.
but we rise, and we rise, 'cause we're born to be free.
They rewrote us into races just to make the conquest clean. Turned the Hebrew into Africa and made the native Mongolian. Paper laws replaced the lineage, said our birthright wasn't real. But the stories in our elders held the truth they tried to steal. Yeah, even manifest destiny was fashioned as a sign that the ones who drew the weapons could control the sacred line. But that ain't our destiny.
They tried to frame us
With a map and a decree.
They tried to tame us,
Hide the nations we would be.
but we rise, and we rise, 'cause we're born to be free.
Every label had a purpose. Every rewrite hit a lane. Every census moved our story till we barely knew our stand. But the light inside our memory cuts a path they couldn't see. We were sovereign in the making long before their history. They can't bury what we carry. Truth returns when hearts are ready.
They tried, they tried, they tried to tame us,
Hide the nations we would be.
but we rise, we rise, we rise, 'cause we're born to be free.
From the fires of the mountains to the rivers by the sea. Every nation they erased still survives inside of me.
Check. Yeah, we back to it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all for pulling up. Go ahead, hit the like button. If you're new, you ain't got to subscribe right now, but just watch us to the end. I'm pretty sure you'll want to. For the returning people, peace to the party. Y'all know what it is. We got everybody in the building already. Y'all know we like to be punctual. You know what I'm saying? We don't play that. We want to give y'all a show. We show up every day, every Sunday at 6. And we appreciate y'all tapping in. Appreciate all the support, the super chats, the growth that we've been having. Hey, we trying to get to 10,000 before the commercial new year. So y'all help us with that, man. Tell a friend about us. If you agree or disagree, get in the comments. If you want a question to ask, super chat is the best way to get that handled. So we're going to get into it today. I'm going to go ahead and bring Mac up. Let him go and set the stage.
What they do?
What's up with it, bro?
Man, hey, we in the studio. Blueprint recorded studio. We know we live, you know what I'm saying?
Boy, it's looking good out there. I've been seeing you put the content out there for Sis Trump, man.
Oh, man, shout out to Sis Trump. Historic Black Wall Street type vibes, you heard me? You know what I'm saying? My mama was born by Dr. Sis Trump, you heard me? So me sitting on Sis Trump bring me back to honor my mama, you heard me? So everything happened for a reason. We at the studio live on Sis Trump. But yeah, man, we outside. That's why I say we outside, though. Hey, listen, man, that GMC once again, though, man. It's Gullah Mac. See, I'm gonna let y'all know it's Gullah Mac. You know what I'm saying? Mac 8, you can keep it proper, like when we keep it corporate and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, BSB, Gullah Mac. You heard me? Shout out my BSB. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Everybody's gonna watch it after the fact. You heard me? I appreciate you pulling up on us or even sharing the content, liking the content. And even for my haters, our haters, the party haters, we know who you is. Thank you for tuning in. You heard me? But you ain't refute nothing yet, though. But however, that bet's still out there. Just let y'all know, get into the season, and the seasons is the greeting for me to tell you what's really going on. You heard me? I ain't forgot nothing. But at the same time, that's why this manifest destiny thing, because the harsh reality is live life autonomously, right? And in y'all own mind and your households tonight, I want to wish y'all, you know what I mean? It's the winter, as they call it, season we in. Greetings and stay warm and do what you got to do to survive and the harvest and everything. But you got to manifest your own destiny in this time we living in. You heard me? And don't wait for nobody to get to it. You heard me? Do what you got to do for you and yours, your loved ones. And shout out to you and y'all. You heard me, Maranatha. But outside of that, shout out to the party. Peace to the party, Maranatha once again. And yeah, manifest your destiny. You heard me? But what we've been taking off the track. See, we've been taking off the track. You know what I'm saying?
Worry about the wrong shit.
And now we ain't paying attention to the things that's most important to us right now in the time we living in. And it's like, what you call it, mind your own business. Because see, you want to try to manifest your own destiny, you can't be minding other people's destinies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can't be manifesting your own destiny and worry about somebody else's at the same time. Church. Tabernacle. Yeah. So I ain't trying to be biased, but, to be autonomous within your own individual self, with a collective situation with your family, with your friends, in the business situation. Everybody got to, handle their business and be autonomous to manifest that destiny. You hear me? So shout out to the party, by the way. You hear me? Because we manifesting destiny. I heard what you said, and we definitely is growing. And we shout out to everybody that's been watching and tapping in. Like we said, it is what it is. I really appreciate the growth and evolution of life. That's what we're here to do. Tap in. So what you want to do for Travis here?
Yeah, he here. I'm about to bring him up right now. Shout out.
Be up for everything. I'm gonna say, goddamn.
Yeah, we start from the beginning. Yeah. Shout out to Drake Cars. Appreciate you say you sent some music, bro. We'll check it out. And that's another thing. If you make music that's suited for some edutainment, you hear me? It ain't gotta be cuss free, none of that, but it gotta jam. You know what I'm saying? And so send it to the email media@theautonoumousparty.com. Drake Card, you already got the email, but this is for others. If it's hot, we'll play it, bro. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to AJ Lee. You say peace, man. Peace back to you, bro. All right, so yeah, we got Travis in the back, bro. I'm gonna bring him up. He already on screen. He ready to get to it, so we're gonna bring him up.
Hey, how you doing?
Peace.
Check.
Hey,
that sound all right.
They do.
Hey, you a pro now? You ready, bro?
I see him.
I'm getting there. Watch out.
We watch it. Shit.
I like it, bro. I like it.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Oh yeah, growth. Love it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Be afraid, man. Be afraid.
Hey, so and just like our normal fashion, we got everything already laid out and ready. So Mac, you go ahead and start us off, and then we'll get to it because we got a lot of information. Make sure we cover it all.
All right, so because whoever been watching this from week to week on Sunday service, we try to keep some things in the chain of content. I know we could have said part 2, but we wanted to title this a certain way because of certain things that I think we're going to tie in tonight based off the bill. And it is tied to the terminology, what we call manifest destiny. You know what I'm saying? And manifesting destiny from a historical standpoint goes back to Roman. And if y'all seen when we started back, we told you Rome's going to be our referee. You know what I'm saying? All the documentation, all the information, and even things that linger after the fact of ancient time frame into like with the 15th century, where a lot of people might misunderstand what's happening because they're not letting the referee call the calls. You heard me? They're using all these other groups of people to say certain things, but the standard's already been set by the referee. You know what I'm saying? The calls and everything. So manifest destiny, you know what I'm saying? I want to make sure, so I want y'all to think, because I know if when we go back in history, I've searched, I'm gonna tell you, I've searched, that's on me. You know what I'm saying? That manifest destiny don't go back as a terminology phrase that people use today in the conscious community or wherever, to the time frames of things we're gonna go back to. So first, I would like for you to play the clip of manifest destiny, if you don't mind. So everybody can get a gist of where this term is phrased and who coined it. You hear me? So I thought they did a great job of doing it. Whenever somebody does something like that, I feel like, why should I speak and waste my time trying to freestyle it? I'm gonna let you get it from where I think somebody broke it down very well. You know what I mean, Monte? So it's a shout out to them. You know what I mean, tonight for this feature. You heard me?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm trying to.
Ain't no pressure. But as he pulls it up, you need me to point to it?
Nah, it's the YouTube, huh?
All right, yeah. All right, so it's like a 3-minute joint, but manifest destiny. Obviously, I got some folk that might not know about this, so I want to make sure that was covered. You know what I'm saying? And Travis, I want your thoughts on it after we play the clip, because manifest destiny, kind of like just make sure people know who coined it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's after the race theory. First off, I want to make sure I say that to everybody out there too. That from a standpoint of when the term manifest destiny is manifested, is after the 4-race theory, the 5-race theory, and all the things that's tied to theories of scientific ideals of what we call today as a race or racism, and what end up being in a bad way of saying the ethnogenesis of that race ideal that we hear people now go about and classify themselves as. And it's interesting that even happens, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I want to make sure that this is laid out as we talked about, because I'm going to show y'all something tonight. And Travis, I know you told us what you had, and I feel like that falls into the situation. And even when we had you on last, Travis, and we talked about the Anglo-Saxon ideal, because Anglos, as we showed everybody when we had the last bill with you, that all people that's considered Caucasian underneath this white racial ideal that came about in the 18th century, or do not follow the script of what's been told to us in these times, especially in America. Is there anything you want to say before we play the clip?
No, let's get going. No, this is good.
All right, bet money.
I'm ready.
All right, I got it. I'm gonna play it.
Hello and welcome to History Pod. On the 27th of December 1845, journalist John L. O'Sullivan wrote a column in the New York Morning News that influenced adoption of the concept of manifest destiny. Manifest destiny was a belief that the United States had a divinely inspired right to expand across North America, and that this expansion was inevitable. And Ulysses S. Grant rejecting it. Nevertheless, the notion that the USA had a right to expand westward found significant support and proved particularly popular with Jacksonian Democrats. Journalist John L. O'Sullivan first used the phrase manifest destiny in the July-August 1845 issue of the United States Magazine and Democratic Review in an article where he supported the annexation of Texas. However, it wasn't until later that year that the phrase found a larger audience thanks to one of his articles in the New York Morning News that addressed the ongoing Oregon boundary dispute with Great Britain. In this article, O'Sullivan argued in favour of the right of our manifest destiny to overspread and to possess the whole of the continent, which Providence has given us for the development of the great experiment of liberty and federated self-government entrusted to us. The article clearly attracted attention in Washington, where the Whig representative Robert Winthrop of Massachusetts criticized the concept of manifest destiny in Congress during a debate about President Polk's policy towards Oregon. Nevertheless, the idea struck a chord with Democrats and was often used to support and justify foreign policy in the 19th century. This saw the United States' defeat of Mexico in the Mexican-American War and the brutal mistreatment of Native Americans and other non-Europeans.
Ooh. What y'all thought about that? Real quick?
Is laying it out like everything else was a narrative, was a historical play that had economics involved, reshuffling the people.
If you recall, the year that he's talking about is around the time frame where a lot of things are happening when he's talking about it, Sullivan.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tied to the time frame of an expansion on a, outside of the methodology of what other people might think about, the term manifest destiny, but how it's being used at this time frame when it's phrased and how we should know it today to go back to him. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be right before the American-Mexican War.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which would mean at this time frame, west of the Mississippi technically ain't America yet in manifest destiny expansion ideals of things. You hear me? We can go to the treaty and see. We can use these treaties to show when the states that's west of the Mississippi became known as today's states of North America. You know what I'm saying? United States of America, right? So that needed to be laid out, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to flash back real quick because I wanted y'all to just know that I don't be capping. I know where the phrase came from. Travis, is anything you want to say before I go? Because I'm going to build it up so I can let you take off.
Yeah, no, of course. No, I got it. But yeah, I will just say that so what I'll be talking on a bit later on, the goddess of Columbia, the code of Columbia, is really the beginning of manifest destiny without the word yet. Because literally manifest destiny then ends up using the image of Columbia. But make no mistake, this actually begins in 1776, 2 months before the launch of July 4th, before the start of the whole thing. They launched Lady Columbia. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. All right. Hold on. See, I want y'all to, we're gonna tap in on the timeline. I want everybody to be on the timeline with us. You heard me? So I want to make sure I don't leave nothing else. And now last week, just to let y'all know, everybody's been watching it, and I appreciate y'all been watching it week to week. And if you've seen what we said, when we had 9 Ethan, shout out to 9 Ethan, he's gonna be with the party, so he'll be back at the end of the day. What we was talking about towards the end of it, we went into the time frame of King Charles II. You know what I'm saying? Or we was talking about his marriage to Catherine, you know what I mean, of Portugal, you know what I mean, the House of Borzanga, you know what I mean? We were talking about all that. That's the origin, and this is before the race theory, by the way, of the RAC, which is tied to the word African being used in a chartered trust standpoint of a crown, and their ties now to what we call today Portugal, and how Portugal is going to go back to 1492 and going into West Africa and Angola and all those terms, Gola and all these terms, right? And getting the contract, Asiento de Negro. Go ahead, Travis.
Yes, so on the rack, right? So other guys involved in that would be like the Lord Carteret family I've talked about, who has they're one of the 8 Lord proprietors. They also had shares in the RAC. All these different guys that you'll see, Berkeley, Penn, a lot of them would have shares in these different corporations, including companies trading to Russia, companies trading to the Levant. So it's like the same guys, and they're all shareholders in all these different companies, include what I'm talking about here. So yeah, I mean, it's just wanted to point that out, like from like the business side, like what's going on with that.
Bet money. Monte, you want to say anything before I slide? I'm gonna give you the
first. Keep it rolling.
All right, bet. So we're going to come back to the screen. Always let people know how we keep it because, manifest destiny. You know what I'm saying? But I want you to get the history because I've traced something. I want to share it with y'all. You hear me? I want y'all to give me your feedback in the chat now and after the fact, too. You hear me? Because this is just my research. Thomas Party, we do what we do. You know what I mean? We pulled up some things. We walk in the timeline with it, though. Because everything chronologically got to fit. You hear me? So you see what I sent you, Monte?
Yeah, I'm working on it right now.
No pressure. I want you to know. So now, I'm going, and the next thing after that, Monte will be the journal. So we're just going to set the standard. For I can't show them everything in the clip in time. I want to make sure I can just give it to y'all, though. You hear me? Here it come. They make it big as possible for people to see it.
Yeah, I got you.
Appreciate you.
Let's see. This one's going to be blurry. Let me go back to the other one. So first, explain to them what it is.
All right, so this is the TO map. I want you to understand, based off of European expansion, this source is in Library of Congress, correct?
Yeah, I'm about to put the link in the chat too.
Let them get it. I don't want nobody thinking we just saying something. It's from the Library of Congress. They obviously know about this map. I mean, it's a historical source. You know what I mean? So the TO map, though, which means going into 1492, and I have to keep telling people this, right? Going into 1492, based off of this concept of European expansion, that's going to lead to what we call the Inquisition, which is going to lead to Spain and Portugal, who are tied to the term Inquisition, which is tied to when anybody talking about they people were brought from anywhere else tied to black folk and using the term Negro, African later on, and understanding of that out of West Africa is going to be tied to this idea of what's going on in the map making at this time. So the crowns, based off the Inquisition, who used the referee, the Rome, and the popes, the papal bulls, the dum diversis, and those terminologies, right? This map is what they thought of what was going on in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is what they thought about the world at the time, all right? So there's no, at this time when this map, and again, they had updated this map. I don't want y'all to not understand that I understand that they updated this map. A Walsmere map of 1507, just to let y'all get a reference. It's tied to Vespucci, where some people say America get its name from, right? It's tied to the ideal that Vespucci debunked the fact of what this map that I'm showing you right here, the TO map, was showing the European ideal of crowns, especially Spain and Rome, and even the British and French, of what was going on at that time frame going into 1492. Christopher Columbus is going to be my next witness because he's the one they say made it to America.
Yeah.
1492. You see what I'm saying? So when the European crowns first, somehow or another, got across that Atlantic water or Ethiopian Ocean, south or north, and came into the New World ideal of reaching an area, they thought they reached Asia. Everybody else, Travis, you hear what I'm saying? What's your thoughts on that? They think Asia. They're not even thinking America's separate yet.
Well, I've seen some maps, the other guys show. So, and then combined with the writing, the way they would refer to the Far East and stuff. It sounds like we had India here, like India Superior, India Minor. You had also sometimes it looks like I've seen where Canada would be Asia, and then modern China would also be like that was Asia Minor. You also have this use of like the Far East, and they'll say, and now we think the Far East means maybe China, but or they'll say way out in Asia, and we're thinking. But now once you realize there's maps showing like the Americas as Asia, also as India Superior. At the time of Columbus, I believe is why it makes sense. He labeled Indians because he was in India Superior. I mean that's the only way it makes sense. But to me, that almost like proves the point that they never corrected Columbus on that. Like that was really a mistake, and he's an idiot. Then, like in 1510, they would have changed. They would have corrected that mistake and stopped. You know what I mean? They would have eliminated that from
updated it. Yeah.
We're the ones who don't realize it used to be called India. We're the dummies, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. You see what I'm getting at?
No, I get. Trust me, I want people to
They
think
would have
about this
corrected it.
conundrum because there's empires already here. It's very vast information of this being populated, right? And some people think it was populated by Europeans, right? But it was people, a lot of people here already. So at the same time of that, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into whoever came from somewhere else already
Asian,
amongst them people, right?
Right.
Conversation.
Well,
but go ahead.
Well, no, just about this. What we're a little bit talking about too is even the portrayal of Colombia begins in the early mid 1500s, and they portray her very dark. And they actually, the original name of it is Amérique. So they know this is America already. The French are calling it Amérique, Q-U-E, right? And that's what they're naming this woman. And they're showing like her breast, and she's an islander, and she's like, it's like awesome life. Like there's kind of like they were still painting it as the Garden of Eden and the abundance that it was. Like you got to get into the 1500s, you'll see these paintings and the way there's references, and that evolves. But it's so I think it just there are people here. They were very melanated, and they had a good thing going on because that's what they're showing. Like they're painting it, this ideal. It's like very interesting. It was very not worshipful is the wrong word, but it was very, you can see at the beginning, there's a lot of admiration that they're allowing out of the bag, a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
For like the first 100 years, then we got it like covered up.
Hey, you know what though? In the matter of, we go back to that TO map and how we about to bring up the next source of what Columbus actually said. We're gonna show it, we're gonna share it. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe some people haven't read the journals, right?
Right.
And in his journals, even though he is describing people that he came across that look Ethiopian, that's the term that he's using, right?
Ethiopian. That's a trick, though. That's a trick. That word.
Right. It's a Greek term, right? It's obviously not even. It's the term the European.
It just means you're a dark person or a dark face, right? It's like a dark face, right. That's all that means. So
all it means.
Okay, so you can see anybody anywhere in the world if they have a dark face. I can call them Ethiopian.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's how they were doing it.
The ocean is called Ethiopian Ocean. Everybody's using the word Atlantic slave trade, and the whole time, even when King Charles II got the RAC, they're getting contract through the dowry from his, with Portugal as we broke down. In West Africa, the ocean between what we would call today Americas and that between south of Gibraltar, at that time it's still being called the Ethiopian Ocean. They ain't update that yet either. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I mean, right. There's again, it's interesting. You just remember, this is really, maps are really interesting. Look into how all this manipulation can really work. You can listen. What happened, right? We whatever politics are, but Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. You can change these names, and then everybody can agree to it, and it can become normal. It can become the way it's always been after 100 years or whatever. So this stuff works.
It
works
very well.
Yeah, I want people to know that because in his journal, what he's saying, if you haven't read his journal, he's definitely saying the word Indies, right? But people, because they don't understand that map that is showed. The TO map.
Yeah, that's Indies, right?
They're not understanding that the West Indies, in their mind, going into 1492, is part of Asia. In their mind, people that's expanding or fleeing what we call today the Inquisition, crossing from the old world ideals of what was going on into this world that is technically not of the jurisdictions of the TO map, but they're thinking that they're reaching a region that hasn't been really, put into the ideals of being civilized by the major, what we call today, Abrahamic religions, or especially Roman ideal of expansion. You know what I'm saying? Indies.
Well, and the Indies thing too, guys, is okay. You got the British East India Company. Where do they go? So that means where would the West India? Well, so if you're in England, West is here. Is the Indies? It's over this way. So a lot of this. That's what I'm saying. Like this area must have been known. India. So somehow I feel like it's even in the words they're using. But we've been trained to move those places around on the map, perhaps. You get what I'm getting at? Yeah, like
yeah. That was the miseducation.
Come on, man. They were trading. They had a whole. They had, we're just seeing little snippets, right, of all the records, but they had them though, and that's what I think was kind of going on. And they moved the names around. I think there's a whole bunch of that going on.
Oh yeah,
I get into it.
That's the practice. Yeah,
I'm thinking out loud here.
No.
Sorry.
I just want to walk through it with y'all because I want y'all to see. I want you to tell what you think about this.
Yeah.
Saw on the timeline, and what is consistent. Arzarif, you know what I mean? Because of the TO map, this is where, because anybody saw that TO map we showed, it shows that not only there's Asia, is only Asia, Africa, and Europe on that TO map, but that TO map was divided at that time. At that time, in their mind, based off of biblical ideals of genealogy. Right? I wanted you to see it said Shem, that would be Asia. Ham, that would be Africa. Japheth, that would be Europe. That was on that TO map. And they had in their scriptural ideal of European concepts, that would be Rome. And later, who we talked about last week mostly was them Puritans, the Pilgrims, right? In that time frame right before King Charles II. See, everything's on the timeline, right? But we're going to go from 1492, and we see that Columbus, with diaries, and what his thought process is going to be tied to them same map, that same map ideology of majority of the cartographers, people that's making astrolabs, anybody on a level we call science at that time that were navigating maritime or whatever are going to be tied to this concept, mostly what we researched, you know what I mean, at that time, like Abraham Zagato, that, Columbus got the astrolabe from. Yeah. Right. So this whole thing right here is laid. I want to, before we move on, you want to tap in? Anybody?
Let's just get going. I'm going to keep talking to him. We got to get.
I want to make this laid out. That's all.
There's so much here.
It's so easy to go off that on a tangent on one little. Because it's so much. That's what we do.
Oh yeah.
I don't need to touch on it. We're gonna come back. It's gonna come back up.
Yeah, we come back. We're good.
Get to where we're trying to get to. I showed,
you good here, no Matt?
Destiny, but now I'm trying to show the groundwork in our research of where really manifest destiny is really going back to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because this is the time frame of the
it was the plan
of the people tied to the Roman Catholic Church, which would be Spain and Portugal, Columbus. You know what I'm saying? This time frame. And what's not no religious, secular, historical, lawful documents being done by the Europeans who are conquesting not just what they call the New World, but also West Africa. You know what I'm saying? That was considered a new world to them. Guinea land, not North Africa, the area south of the Gibraltar off the Atlantic. We call it the Atlantic, which was actually called the Ethiopian Ocean. So within this concept of things thinking, right? Critical thinking, timeline. Slide up, Monte. Let them see what we're dealing with. If you could make that a little bit bigger for them so they can see that. Hold on real quick.
I don't know if I can zoom any further on this one. I got some.
That's a Lampezer, right? That's it. That's Library of Congress right there. Y'all looking at?
Yeah.
Put it in the chat so they can see it and they can open it up just in case they need to see it for themselves. How okay, I'm gonna go before I start sliding on it. I'm only gonna give it a couple minutes at peace right now at this point. You know what I mean? Because we were trying to get to, but I thought it was very important based off manifest destiny. Based off manifest destiny, I have to bring this up. I can't go around it. You know what I'm saying?
You look bad the other way.
They do?
Yeah. Let me see something. Okay, there we go.
All right, bet money. All right, so the Lampezer, saying great. You know what I mean? We give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. Make sure I got the right thing here. Pisa. I don't believe it don't show it on this right here exactly. I want them to see. I mean, I'm trying to see if I can even find something else to show, because this is important right up. Hold on. Why it ain't come up like, it's supposed to, but either way, you put it in the chat though, right?
Mm-hmm. You want to see the article or the,
No, I want this document to be sitting here just so they can see before I walk it in, because I'm gonna walk in. This is tied to something I think that everybody got to know, tied to this manifest destiny and race theories. It has to be laid out. You know what I mean? Because general terms being used and shit like that. This is a document tied to this time frame. So, Limpiza de Sangre, all right, which is going to be tied to the term in Spanish meaning purity of blood. All right, it was a legal, religious, and social caste system. This is tied to the caste system before the race theory. All right, this is tied to the caste system by Spain and Portugal before the race theory. All right, this is the foundation. All right, and again, that's the Library of Congress. See, that's there for you. You can type in. You want to put it in live. You want to do it live for them. You can put that there. You feel me? If you want to, let people see that, they can look this up. But either way, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna spell it for y'all too. Limpieza space de space sangre. Sangre. All right, and that means in Spanish, and how we translate it in English, purity of blood. All right. So what we get into is that it emerges in the 1400s. This is the caste system tied to the Inquisition and the slave trade. Before modern race theory, it says Jews, Yahudim, Conversos, New Christians, Muslims, Moriscos, Blackamoors, when associated with Jewish or Moorish history. All right. It didn't target nobody called African, because that race thing ain't there yet, based off of Limpieza de Sangre in this document. Now, this document in this time frame, it says it was a system of laws requiring proof that a person had no Jewish blood, no Moorish blood, no ancestry connected to infidels or heretics. This was a genealogical purity law, not a racial color law, meaning this is the foundation before, at that time, of what people are being persecuted at that time, but what we would call European crowns. This is their law system. This is not me making this up. All right, now look, 1449. What time? Oh, that's before 1492, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? All right, now we just showed you Homeboy had journals and all that, and what they thought about at the time frame, but they're still over there at Toledo. Statutes and stuff being passed. It says the first formal law of Limpieza de Sangre. It banned conversos, Yahudim, from holding public office. 1449. 1478, that's before 1492. Spanish Inquisition begins. All right. 1492 comes, and the people called Yahudim are expelled or converted. 1496 to 1500, Portugal, I brought him up. King Charles II, remember later on, he marries Catherine, right? But this is in 1496 when Portugal, that Catherine, who she gets it from, is able to even pass it on to the RAC. See what I'm saying? That's why you got to understand this connection. See what I'm saying? So Portugal begins forcibly converting or expelling Jews. Many are deported to St. Tom, Angola, Congo, and West Africa. This is where, we get, very detailed, by the way. Limpieza spreads everywhere in Spanish Empire, including New Spain, which is going to be over here, Mexico, the Caribbean, Peru, and the Philippines. It becomes the legal foundation for caste hierarchy in the what they call New World, based off the ideals of what any place they were going into, excluding what we call today America, you know what I'm saying, it's tied to. So this right here is the foundation of it. When we get to the one drop rule, that later on we gonna, might come up, you know what I'm saying? When we get to the racial things that's taking place in the shift, when they get into the racial ideals, This is how these things get lumped in. But the foundation of it, I mean, if you say your people were on Earth, prior to 1492, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody being called under the racial terms that shifts later on based off manifest destiny going into the 18th century. And that's what I want to make sure I get everybody a clear outset on. You know what I'm saying? Travis, I appreciate your patience. What you think about that layout before I get to America?
So it's actually I was researching more on it as well. I was trying to get a hold of some of the purity statutes from the Inquisition. But I'll give you this, maybe a part of it that I looked into in another time is the amount of wealth we're talking about here. These guys that they're going after the Inquisition. So it's interesting. You have these blood statutes, and it is obviously starting to looking at skin complexion. But when you look at what really goes down, who gets to stay, who goes, who the Inquisition, it's like every color's. You got everybody. It doesn't really follow much of a logic. What logic it does follow is the money logic. These corporations, who are very swarthy people running these corporations, all right, were the contracted tax farmers for the Kingdom of Spain and Portugal. And they were basically had more money. They had 60% of basically all the trade revenue coming in. They were like pocketing, and then they send the rest to the king because they had a deal. And the king, they paid the king a fixed amount of money, and then they collected all they could and got to keep it. Tax farming goes back. That's in the Bible. They, who do they hate? The Jews hate the tax farming Jews who are working for the Romans, right? Same idea going on here. So all of a sudden, like these royals and these powerful corporations in Italy and in Spain who are Catholic, they realize what's going on. The Inquisition, they took down about 3,000 people. I tell people over 400 years, it was like 3,000 burned. Not that I want to burn, but the point is like the guys they were burning, it would be like burning a billionaire. It's like burning a billionaire who won't turn over the records. Really, these guys had written stuff. They had 3 and 4 sets of books. They had the ones in Latin, the one in Spanish. This is why Hebrew comes back in. They resurrect Hebrew, these guys, these European Jews, all right? They resurrect it as a code language to keep their other set of books and on and on and on. This is the rise of Kabbalah comes around this time. A lot of this mysticism, guys, and stuff is nothing but them being able to communicate through these books, through the written word, their books, their messages, everything that's involved in their covenants. Because this is all about these syndicates. Nothing you see is happening from the bottom up. Everything you see driven for the top down. Okay, so I just want that's a little bit, but that's a lot about the Inquisition. Just to keep that in mind. While they're also making, so it's kind of weird, right? Because that explains why you have like a major Jewish guy staying on as like the banker to Ferdinand and Isabella. That's why you have Jews on the boat with Columbus. So it doesn't. A lot of it, I'm just going to point out, so much of that was entwined to the money and the guys they're booting out, and then they become the Huguenots. Those are the Huguenots that come to America.
Yeah. Okay.
You see how weird it all gets? You got Huguenots, you got the blood stuff, the race going on, but then the guys that are doing a lot of it though are the melanated guys at this time.
Yes.
So it's like a weird,
It's really weird, ain't it?
It's history. It ain't weird.
History is supposed to be more, weirder than what you think reality.
Yeah, because you can't control reality. Things happen.
See, and that's why. Go ahead.
Well, no, just one more thing on it. It might have been the first rising of the so-called like light-skinned European class. Like, is this the Frankish? The Franks coming out and they're pushing and they're uniting, and maybe this was the move to just be like, listen, you know what? We got to get rid of it. There's too many. It's almost like an internal cleaning them out, and it's like this is an easy way to, It is maybe a lot to it right there. I don't know, but it's just kind of intriguing.
I got some. I'm glad you said that because I'll be in America, right? So. The Pisa de St. Greatness impact as we get into the Americas, right? Now, the one drop rule, and everybody that researched the one drop rule here, people talk about it a lot. But in history, its foundation goes back to this Latin term, purity of blood. You know what I'm saying? Right. Now, the Iberian foundation, right, is tied to Spain and Portugal, because that's where they're tied to, Iberia. So it says the blood purity, they have blood purity certificates, all right? They had lineage-based exclusions set up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there you go. You know what I mean? I'm glad you're showing this for everybody that can look at these things that's going into these time periods as we walk up things, right? Keep that on the screen for a minute right now. And stains of blood. Another way for saying that in Spanish or Latin, it says manchas, manchas. You know what I'm saying? But either way, this becomes the operating principle of colonial America. You know what I mean? When we did this foundation breakdown. So England, King Charles II, and how it develops going into the time frame of King Charles II is going to show how England learns from Iberia based off that connection. See what I'm saying? What's already happening with those crowns tied to that before King Charles II literally, obviously, marries Queen Catherine of the House of Brazaga. So I want y'all to hear what's going on. This is the mixture part.
Yep. Where'd you get? Yes.
It's convoluted now. Why? Because the 13 colonies has ties now of not only people that they've been bringing over into what we call today the 13 colonies amongst indigenous people, but now because of King Charles II, Carolina, right? That's how we get the name. He with the contract with Catherine, Asiento de Negro, right, Monte? Asiento de Negro. He is tied himself to being able to monopolize through that dowry, through her, West Africa, because they have Portugal still has their hands on what we call the Guinea, Negro de Guinea, right? Geographically, because there's no such thing as they're not even using. These people aren't even using the word Africa yet. The race theory is not there yet in none of their documents. They're using the word Guinea because that's a regional area, which is today we would say West Africa. You know what I'm saying? Yep. They already know about North Africa because they already been integrated in dealing with trade and all that kind of stuff, especially Iberia with what we call North Africans. Duh.
Hey, can I? Okay, but the trade, right? So just the economic out. So this destroyed entire merchant dynasties and the rise of new Christian houses, Mendoza, Enriquez. So a big part of this is like they're taking out. It's like think of mafia movies. They're taking out these other guys, these other syndicates. They're like, we're taking over your ships. It's going on our books now, not on your Jewish books and your Jewish banks. It's going to go into our Catholic books, our Catholic banks, our Catholic. So just so you guys understand. And then where do these guys go? Guys, they become the merchant strangers. They go to England. They become the Puritans. They start all of your Protestant. They're the Presbyterians. So these are the guys then coming over to colonize Virginia and New England called Puritans. And this is them. This is their lineage. These are the descendants of the 1492 guys kicked out, come to America in the early 1600s. That's who you're dealing with.
Hey, see how you just said
for the most part.
Now, what you just said, some people would think that's not the same people, and I'm like, no, the same people.
Totally the same people. Totally the same people.
Merchant.
Oh, you can track the names. Yes. There's so many ways to track it. I mean, these guys basically take over England. They create the Bank of England under a guy named William Patterson, New Jersey. He's one of them. Carnegie, he's one of them. All these big names, Forbes, one of them. Many big time American names. I'm talking Roosevelt, the Delanos. They go back to this hive coming out of here. It's very documented. And so, it's a whole new spin. That's why we were talking last week about the Anglo-Saxon myth. Well, part of the Anglo-Saxon myth is that like America was found by Anglo-Saxons. It's like that's the biggest. That's the marketing story. It's found by a bunch of swarthy dudes from the Mediterranean who were probably Turkish, Greek, Egyptian, Moroccan, Spanish. They were all there coming from all that part of the world, running things. They were running things until what Mac's talking about. You get this Inquisition going. You get the expulsion, and I'm just trying to put the money behind. There's a lot of money moves going on with it.
It's always
it's not really about religion. Think of all these religious sects as independent banking and credit systems. And so that it's weird, but that's how it was back then. We live in a kind of different world with it. But so you got to understand it. When they switched the brand over from Catholic to Protestant, it's like now the money's flowing into a different set of banks. And that's really what's going on. Like, so just keep that in mind with a lot of this,
That money.
Anyhow. Yeah,
I
man.
see. Look, it's a lot of impact, and I'm just trying to make sure I give him as much detail when we do these live.
Yeah, man. It's a crazy time. It's a pivotal point,
This
man.
time frame is
The
crazy.
world is changing.
Yeah.
What is changing?
That
so
at least
much.
that's the way they write it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like, you know,
Hey, but
if it's all
there's
real,
no
it's
race
pretty
theory
wild.
yet. See, at this, all
Yeah,
this is going
right.
Yeah,
on.
there's
There's
no
not
white and
really.
black right now.
There's
Yeah.
no white. There's no red race. There's no we African.
Guys, I mean, listen, the thing about like with these guys, they're so powerful. They show up in England. They're called the strangers, and they're called swarthy, and they're weird in how they practice their Christianity, because Protestantism was created for these guys. These guys needed a legal Christian religion. So John Calvin, who was an his dad was a converso Jew living in southwest France in the underneath the Navarra region. So Navarra had France and Spain on both sides of the Pyrenees, and the guys that lost out went over to the French side and had protection. That's the Calvin family. So he's all, you know, they had to create a new cult that could be quote unquote legal, right? And whatever that means. And then they went. And these guys, like, they're described by the English like, man, who are these like dark guys coming in and like they're taking over our towns and they got all the money and because they're coming from Iberia, you know, that the entire British East India Trading Company starts with these guys. When they show up, all of a sudden, all that stuff starts happening in England. It's these guys.
Hey, I'll make sure everybody recap that's in the chat and everybody's gonna watch it after the fact. And you hear we talking about all this stuff. What you see on
Sorry.
the screen. No, you're good.
Nah, you're good. You're on point.
I want you to walk through everything. You tell me if you don't agree, if none of this don't make historical sense, or I am Travis. We very open about autonomy here. I mean, we want the sources to tell us if it's true or not true. That's the way we're gonna be autonomous. So we want to go over it the right way. And this way, it's not a biased situation. You know what I'm saying? So it's not biased. It's just this is the facts of what took place.
It's like what went down. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in this just for everybody out there, on this slide, Monte can move to the next slide. So we can move up the timeline so everybody can see something on the screen too at the same time. Thank you. You're getting closer to the time frame I'm trying to get to. All right, bet. So what we just walked through was we obviously had showed you, and if you've been watching the show since we came back, 1510 requiremento, that's in America, Jews, Muslims, Indians, because of the New World word Indies. We just showed you why they're calling the Aboriginal groups of people, empires, nations, tribal groups of people, these terms based off what we use today, Indies, because of the Roman ideal of expansion into what they call the West Indies. But moving forward, after that point of the requiremento, we now know that's Spain and Portugal. See, that's the origin of that Indie thing. Indian, India. That's going English, British did not use that term. They got it from them. See what I'm saying? See, this is what people don't understand. Maybe don't know. But either way, how it comes in and got borrowed, like how Cimarron became known as Maroon. Shout out to my Maroons outside, right? Right? It's just translation. But now we dealing with the Puritans and Anglo-Saxon, Puritan, or even dark-skinned swarthy people who, as he just said, Travis said, are swarthy, being described as blackamoor in the regions of England, Scotland, Ireland, in these regions at this time, following what's going on with the Inquisitions. And if you followed us, we took you back to even King Edward I, right? 1290, a couple weeks ago, right? We try to show you these pockets of things to cover this history, to show you that, what we get into in Manifest Destiny tonight as a foundation, ain't no race theory yet. A lot of y'all are debating about race theories, and that's an 18th century thing. And I mean, that's 300 years. We're 300 years close to into that race theory thing. I understand that we've been, assimilated into that ideology, but your ancestry predates our race theory, period. However the case might be. Now, if you're from here, or you here, or you came from somewhere else, however you want to debate about that, that's not what we're talking about tonight. We're going to do that. Identity shift, 1680 to 1850, right? Now, to give you the backdrop on this time frame, because we're getting ready, again, we should be getting back to that dude Sullivan, right? Who came up with the term Manifest Destiny, tied to this. Hope y'all got it now. Hope that didn't go over y'all head. Now, England learns from Iberia via the Puritans, as we've been showing y'all, right? Merchants and theology, which means all three of those things come with it when they come into America. The trade system, merchants, the theology that they're coming with, tied to Puritan theology of things and who they're amongst and who they're trading with, who they're mixing with, etc. Right? Now, English Puritans, early colonial writers describe. They're not using the word African at this time. The word amongst Puritans, Anglo-Saxons, English-speaking people is Blackamoor. And Blackamoor is automatically attributed to Hebrew based off of the ideal, if they mixed or not, or whatever, those people are tied to what's going on based off the curse of Rome. At that time, before the race theory, the Puritans, right, 1680, going to this shift, right, into this time frame, they are not dealing with before this time frame of 1680 going. They're not even thinking, they shifted, see? But in the original context, when they came over, everybody was tied to this ideal of the curse of Rome. The race shift came in, and that's what we're getting to in Manifest Destiny tonight. You know what I'm saying? So, by the way, again, Blackamoor's obviously dealing with Hebrews under the curse of Rome. That is the terminology being used by Puritans. England, 13 colonies at this time. Okay, this is pre-race. I got my notes here. I'm making sure you know. So in 1662, we're getting close to this time frame of 1680 to 1705, Virginia and Carolina racial laws. All right, they adopt 1662 to 1705, Virginia, one of the obviously the oldest colonies, tied to what? The 13 colonies. And then what? The Carolinas is next, as far as being tied to houses and lord proprietors and all that kind of stuff. All right, so, all right, for example, statutes follows. The mother, meaning this is tied to that term. Shout out to Miss Angela, because how I remember it sometimes in my memory of these bills we do. Partus secutor ventrum. All right? Partus secutor ventrum. That is a Greek Latin terminology tied to the Roman that the 13 colonies borrowed from, of the child being recognized based off what their mother status is and what their mother is in the system of their caste system at this time. This is under the racial codes of Virginia and Carolina, 1662 to 1705, going into this time period of the racial shift. All right. So now look, the one drop rule is obviously a direct descendant of Lampeza. They stand gray. Not biology. No biology needed. It's not there yet. No race theory of biology. You can't even go to that time period and say there's a scientist, he did biology at that. Ain't nobody using it. Listen. However, 1800s race theory is invented, right? Going into this time frame and with this pocket of things you see happening already in America before the race theory is even in place for us to argue about, right? Now, race theory in America is an outgrowth of Iberian Lampeza de Segre logic, right? So we have to understand that foundation as we now get to the time frame of being in America. And I want to make sure, you can slide up and because now we in Manifest Destiny time frame. Because when we get to the invention of this and what's going on, the red race, and I'm gonna give you my notes on this now. I'm gonna give you this now. Like, Travis, is there anything you want to say? Because I want to make sure I don't rant on now. Tell me if you want something, anything you want to tap in on, you can.
I mean, I don't know. I could start in on a little bit. Oh, I put something together regarding Colombia and how they created that cult.
I know.
I don't know when the time's right though.
But I want to make sure I just walk because we've been doing the build and it's been weekly. So you as a guest, I'm gonna let you take
totally
off.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean it's I don't. Just keep going. Just this is good. Yeah,
you walking it up proper, bro. Just go ahead and
I want to just wait till
Keep sliding. I don't want to be rude to my guests. I never want to be rude to you, Trey. I appreciate you. You hear me? You know what I mean? I appreciate you tapping in. So I want you to know that I'm walking this up. And anybody that want to debunk this, it's open for research. Show me something different.
We got plenty of people in the chat, but one thing. So real quick, I just throw I throw a little.
I can't even look at the chat. How I'm reading.
Nah, you don't need to. This what I do. So we get people from all walks over here. We get the Hebrew Israelites, we get the Moorish community, we got the what they would call the Pan Indians. You feel me? We got some of everything. The Pan Africans. I just want to say this that we got a Moor in here right now. So. It get real crazy when they get to the whole having a certain ideology. It limits you from seeing the full scope of history, bro. So One thing I can say that I respect about the Moors, though, they is definitely diligent and they will let you know that they are Moor. They have at least read something because they got the same battle cry when you see them out in public. But this ain't that type of party, bro. We breaking it down from all angles, and somebody in the chat broke it down. Moor was used historically in so many different ways. You can't limit that to it's not a people.
More like so before more they called everybody dark Ethiopian. That's what I was trying to say.
We just talked about it earlier. Exactly.
Yeah.
English
and then all of us go, and then we go, oh, Ethiopia, that's in Africa. I'm telling you, like they've moved names around. There's a whole bunch of mess going on. But for sure, when you look at what Mac's talking about, what just the colonizers themselves, especially in the first like the 1500, they would just write. It's they're seeing dark, they'll call them Negroid. They'll say they have Negroid features. The Indians are seeing here. That's all they mean about it. They don't mean that they came from Africa. They mean they look like some of the Ethiopian like guys that we also see in Africa sometimes. It's like that's really all they mean. Like it's really that much more. We have been indoctrinated. See that to Mac's point. It's only after this new racial ideology that they've been putting on us. We're sitting here reading the same books and we're misinterpreting it based on our. You see what I'm saying?
Taking it as doctrine. Yes. Which is clear by in the chat right now. So we're going to push past. So go ahead, Mac. Segue.
And all respect, I'm just saying, to your point, like, some of these words are too generic that they stop having any meaning. That's kind of my problem with like more. It's like, well, you got to give me more than like just dark skin. That's not good. That's just not very useful.
Not specific enough, bro.
I'm gonna use Rome as my referee, and I'm gonna use Rome as my referee because Rome uses the term Maurice,
Mauritius, Moratoria. They're the ones naming it,
and that predates. Obviously, for those who are Moorish out there, Islam, Mohammedan.
Yeah. Oh man, great point.
Religious ideal of
that's an interesting
described in North Africa, the Mediterranean, or any region that Rome is in, being that Rome predates what we call today Islam. You heard me? Go ahead.
Well, that's interesting what you point out, because just going off the name and trying to deduce, you're right. I mean, think about names in America that became, they use like Augustus and stuff. I'm like, why do these, like, now that I know these are like swarthy guys, like, and I'm like, why are all these like converted Indian dudes getting names like Augustus and Cassius and like just on? And you're like, that white guys aren't naming themselves after that only. And then I'm like, that makes sense though, what you just said.
Correct. It makes perfect sense.
Well, I want you to give us the exclusive drop, because you told us about this joint with Colombia. I want you to have that laid out. You know what I mean? We brought you back for this part, even though we will bring you back anytime these type of conversations lead to things that we know you obviously have been researching too. Just to let you know, I appreciate.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But
here we are.
By the land, so we can let Travis take off on this Columbus and the cult of it, right? Because it's the exclusive for the night. You know what I mean?
Yes. I put together like, a ton of research behind this, but I put together like a script just to, put it through like in a coherent way, hopefully, and kind of tie a lot together. It's really fascinating, and it ties totally in to manifest destiny, to racial labeling, and especially when you're using it to erase identities, especially in any sense of maybe a tribe or a nation that would be separate from this, United States they're creating, right? All right, so the hidden origin of Colombia. So before the American Revolution had a flag, before it had an anthem, before the Syndicate of 13 Colonial Trust ever agreed on a revolt, it did have a goddess, but not of liberty, the goddess Columbia. And this name did not originate in Europe. Long before Puritans or Protestants arrived in America, the lands of the Southeast were covered with villages known as Cola, Ocala, Coloma, Colombiac, Coloa, terms documented by James Adair, William Bartram, Spanish Jesuits, and French traders, and they have meanings such as the united people, the sacred town, the gathered ones, the village of peace. And to these Indian nations, the dove, the white dove especially, was a sacred messenger, a being tied to ancestral breath, renewal, cleansing, and the descent of spiritual authority. Meanwhile, the Latin word columba means dove as well. What an uncanny match. The Protestants and the Jesuits must have recognized immediately how this could be weaponized. Here was a word that already resonated across indigenous languages, signified peace, purity, divine sanction, and already carried associations with celestial, angelic messengers. And so the goddess Columbia was born, a deity crafted to speak simultaneously to the colonists from Europe and to the indigenous descended population that was being converted and becoming Americans. And so a dove being reborn as an empire. Now we have a hostage, Wheatley. Conventional history says there was this formerly enslaved African girl. Let's get to it. The official story says Wheatley is a 7-year-old African girl kidnapped from Senegal, but nothing about her life matches the Atlantic slave trade pipeline. She arrives already brilliant, already literate, already adept at recitation, memorization, rhetoric, and ceremony. These are the hallmarks of an elite indigenous household, not a trafficked African child. And her timeline intersects perfectly with the 7 Years' War, when children from indigenous diplomatic families in Pennsylvania and the Ohio Valley were routinely taken hostage, redistributed, and placed in elite colonial homes for re-education. George Washington was in that war. He was a colonel. He traveled through those exact regions. He interacted with captive native families repeatedly, even in the official record. And Wheatley, one of her manuscripts was notarized by that John Hancock. She corresponds with George Washington before meeting him. Her training mirrors known Jesuit hostage programs, and her skill set maps precisely onto indigenous noble daughters educated as ceremonial speakers. In other words, they were trotting her around London, New York, Philadelphia, and she's basically reading poems in Greek and Latin and English. Wonder where she comes from. Yeah. This was not a random girl pulled from a slave ship. This was a hostage American Indian placed into a Boston elite family and groomed as a vessel for the new messaging. And her identity was overwritten with the legal category Negro, the earliest stage of a mass identity erasure that would later swallow millions. Should I keep going or talk about
yeah, you could.
I want you to, yeah. I'm right now.
Let's look at this. So how do they use this young woman? Why am I even bringing her up? Well, it gets interesting, more interesting. By the time Wheatley was ready for public presentation, the leaders of the rebellion, the American rebellion, so to speak, were already shifting from religious rhetoric to symbolic orchestration. The colonial elite were not acting as founding fathers. They were acting as corporate trust stewards. Remember this, guys. Each colony was a publicly held, stockholder-owned corporation. So each colony is a corporate trust. And now they were coming together to form a syndicate of 13 corporations. Their revolt was really an internal break from the King George Hanoverian Saxon wing of the Holy Roman Empire. Remember who was running the crown at this time? The Saxons from Germany. So to unify their followers, meaning George Washington and the colonists, many of them were who? Indigenous descended people, which remember all the mass conversions that have been happening for 150 years. Who is the audience for George Washington? Is not a bunch of like white guys from villages in England. Not at this point. That's not who is here. Who is here is a bunch of converted Indians, a bunch of Iberians, some poor whites, and some Africans, but it's predominantly the first two. So to unify these followers, they needed a divine symbol, something older than Protestantism, right? Broader than being English, and something that they could make a national myth out of. And Columbia was perfect. We have the dove spirit, which is recognized by both the Indians, right? And the Protestants and Catholics. You have this Latin angelic figure, right? The Christians, the white angel, right? Yep. You have this feminine manifestation, right? That appeals to the matriarchal-led society of the Indians, okay? And so when you look at the pictures of it, you see this all starts to make a lot more sense, the images of it, right? So this was not a grassroots, movement, okay? This is totally engineered, guys, top down. And in the 1800s, this is serious stuff, guys. It's in Sunday school recitations, Protestant hymnals, children's primers in elementary schools, patriotic poetry in your local paper every July 4th. They still celebrated George Washington's birthday separately like crazy. Again, Columbia poetry, Columbia odes. I mean, this is real deal stuff. This isn't just
Media.
like this. Yeah, this is not a secret elite society. I mean, it's created by them, but from what I'm reading, this was a mass movement and like getting drilled into kids, and it
Yes.
doesn't end until the
Propaganda,
Civil War.
marketing, whatever you want to call it.
Right. So what are they doing all this for? It's simple. Erase the indigenous memory by replacing with a goddess that resembled their symbols. But get this, carried the opposite meaning, the forked tongue. Right? You think, I mean, either that or it's just random.
Yeah.
and they're
It ain't
aiming it
random.
at, like, why do you need this for white Europeans who are already, quote, civilized and Christianized and on board with it? And I guess you're aiming it at the African slaves or something, but they're slaves. So why would you care about them with this? So I'm thinking this is actually primarily a thing towards indigenous people that had converted over. It's 1770, you know, we're talking 170 years. It starts early, and all the intermingling. This is something that can work for them all. Like, you see what I'm getting at? It's like, but they're actually using it though to kind of turn the tables on them ultimately. But that's, I think, actually what's going on here. So let's talk a little bit about Washington, because him and the indigenous women, I mean, he uses them and loses them. Washington did not rise alone. He was shaped intimately by another indigenous woman long before Wheatley. This is Sally Fairfax. The official history won't, they'll somehow, listen, Lord Fairfax came over. He did not bring a woman from Europe to marry. Matter of fact, part of their marching orders at this time was always to marry an elite indigenous woman. That's how you get access to the property titles. It's all part of the move. All right, so she's Sally Fairfax because Lord Fairfax is still Fairfax County, Virginia, named after him. One of the wealthiest corporations in England is who George Washington lives with and works for. And this woman, an indigenous woman, is his tutor. All right. And in the 1750s, as a young man, he falls into the orbit of this Fairfax, and she was the matriarch. The elite families of Virginia regularly married indigenous noble daughters in the 16 and 1700s. The Fairfaxes would not have been an exception. What did she teach our young George Washington? Refinement, diplomacy. Diplomacy with who? With Indians, right? Ceremonial posture, right? Learning the culture, right? Indigenous court protocols, how to negotiate with native matriarchs. And guess what? The performance of a play named Cato, a play that would later be performed at Valley Forge in the middle of the war when they were about to lose access to funding. Great story to that, too. From her, Washington learned how indigenous power actually worked. And then came our 7 Years' War. And that's where Washington encountered again and again what? Indigenous hostages. Because every time these battles, you either had dead parents and they took the orphans, or you had alive parents and you took their kids as hostages. This is what went on. All right. So there's Washington's 7 Years' War. It's very likely this would have been where Washington encountered the girl who would become known as Phyllis Wheatley, or he would have at least plugged into her clan, her tribe. Like, he had to have, you know, she came from an important family. Okay. Washington was in the middle of this. So ultimately, two indigenous women shaped George Washington, one in private tutoring, one in his public coronation, which is the beginning also of the Code of Columbia. So here it is, Wheatley's ceremony. This is the indigenous girl, the anointment of a priest king. When Wheatley's poem reached Washington in 1776, this was not a literary moment. This was a ritual appointment. In her poem, so Wheatley supposedly writes this poem, and it's notarized by John Hancock. So they want us all to really believe this girl is doing it, right? Her poem proclaimed that a divine force, the goddess Columbia, had chosen George Washington, that he was Columbia's anointed representative, that this rebellion was God's sanction, and that conquest, guess where? West of the Appalachians was the destiny, and that this conquest west of the Appalachians was sanctified by the goddess Columbia. So this was not a metaphor. This was indoctrination. This happens 2 months before the Declaration of Independence is written. They do this meeting with all these bigwigs, and she is brought to George Washington, and John Hancock's in the audience, and they're at the Cambridge House, Harvard. All right. Harvard is where this message is delivered at Harvard University. Cambridge House. A hostage Indigenous girl was being used to deliver the divine sanction for George Washington's rise. It's basically a humiliation ritual designed to symbolize the transfer of Indigenous sovereignty to a new European steward. This is exactly how these trusts and corporations
wait a second.
operate.
Oh, wait a second. Wait a minute. Travis.
Yes.
What you just said. Boy, all right, look. So when you said that the transferring of estates tied to the women, that based off of what we've been breaking down, dealing with the Lampeza breakdown of blood purity and what before the race thing, and now at this time when you get to George Washington, it's obviously going to, like you said, the Declaration of Independence, and they're, especially some people might not know this, because when you brought up George Washington, made me think timeline wise of what we're talking about, which obviously, funny enough, matter of fact, this is for the record. The Declaration of Independence is what time frame, Travis, so everybody can know.
1776.
All right. Now, the race theory is 1775 if we go off of Blumenbach. Blumenbach, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach.
Oh, man,
now,
that's great. That's
right. Now, we got people that go back to 1682 that are coming up with race theories. But
I got to get those names from you, man. I want to get some of these names because it would be interesting to see who. I found some names of who started to write this idea of Columbia up before, so it'd be interesting to see if some of these names correspond.
Right.
Like if these guys were all collaborating on the new theory and they were going to launch this cult. This stuff always happens from the top down.
Hey, on the conspiracy level, tinfoil hat, that people would say, is making sense. Because see, that's why I said, all right, politically, we can trace the George Washington in 1776 and the Continental Congress, House of Burgess. All these things are happening in America, and the Declaration of Independence is everybody's marker to know that happened. So, but then maybe people don't see and coincide that Blumenbach in 1775, which is 1 year meaning he's influenced, this Germanic man is influenced a worldly stage of what today people debate about, based off them being labeled black and not being correlated to being African. Oh, you being the red race. You know what I'm saying? That means you were in America prior to anybody else. You know what I mean? All these theories, racial, scientific ideals, don't come into play about biology, anthropology, etc., DNA, even tracing something back to a race to prove something until after this time frame. So that's why when you said that, it's important for people to really look at what's going on in the time frame of George Washington, Declaration of Independence, the race theory, the shift that's taken place, which is 18th century. Would you agree?
Yeah. And then 1794 is the Naturalization Act, where the only people that can now immigrate and be citizens must be light-skinned and from Europe. So now you can't even be light-skinned from like anywhere. So now we're going to bring these. Now we got to fill this place up.
Correct.
But that happens after. See what I mean? Yeah, right on. So it's like, listen, they're planning ahead, right? They got whatever. They probably got 100-year plan. But it's weird, right? We're living in times that might have been planned out. So it's like, but when you can look back, you're like, right? They got to this point, and then once they get to this point, they made this move. They know that takes 20 years. Then they get to that point, they can do the next step.
Yep.
I mean, either that
it's
or
incremental.
Yeah, but it's strategically incremental. It's not like incremental, like, oh, now we.
Nah, they ain't guessing. Yeah,
these guys know what they're doing from the beginning. Is my right? Yeah.
Correct.
So, yeah, this is great stuff. I would love to look over these names because that's where we can find that these guys corresponded in letters or were part of the same academies and societies. That's where this was the guys who were cooking up this new thing, this new ideology. That's what they do. They did that with abolition. They had you can see the same group of people cooking up all the abolition propaganda. Everything's like that. Everything. It's always like cooked up and pushed out.
Right. No, but people might not notice that Blumenbach, I'm going to say his name again, the man BLUMENBACH.
Yeah.
That's his name. Look him up. Race theory. Put that in with race theory. Right?
Yep.
And he's
Johann Friedrich Blumenbach.
And he's probably, since he's Dutch Protestant, he's likely Reformed Protestant. He might have become white by then, but he has the same culture as John Calvin's Huguenots. So these guys, it's very intriguing how what starts off as a swarthy, melanated movement actually somehow gets, and also there's all these white Presbyterians walking around white. It's like, but it's weird. It's like, but at the beginning, it was all dark people.
I gotta be honest with you, and I'm glad you're here to say what you just said, and I'm just going to say it. That's why he's important, because the idea of a distinct biological human race is tied to him. What they call chronometry, scientific ideal of measuring skulls.
Oh, the skull measurement stuff. Oh yeah. Oh man,
that term cranial.
So that's
metry. Yeah, that's tied to him.
I'll deep dive on. Yeah, this is. Interesting.
Color categories.
Well, you can just see how it's all coming together. It's all part of
it's evolving.
It gets rolled out. It gets rolled out.
He's doing some shit. I'm gonna call it how I see it. It says the color categories for human groups. So now people being in America who are being described by Puritans before the race theory. There's Puritans in America. And as you know, Anglo-Saxon, no matter if they're white, black, whatever, Swarthy, whoever, their ideal of an origin, their ideal of what's going on, what's tied to the history that's happening in what's called the New World, especially North America, the 13 colony development tied to Lord proprietors and stuff like that, and their theologies, etc. They're using the terms like copper color, they're using tawny, they're using Ethiopian-like, they're using black or more, you know what I'm saying? This is their actual terms in this time frame. And then it shifts to, after homeboy right here, it says this replaced the older biblical cultural classifications with a pseudo-scientific racial structure. It says Blumenbach, 5 Races, 1795. It's called the Generis Humani Variety Naftia, 3rd edition. Just the 3rd edition, where the 5 races is tied to white, Caucasian, Mongolian, yellow, Ethiopian, black, and African. And before that, Ethiopian was still a term being used. I can admit that easily. It was being used generally, as we said it earlier, but also along with the fact that these Ethiopians were more tied to being Hebrews than being called just some Africans. So
and
American,
and there was no country Ethiopia till like the 1800s or whatever.
That's later on. So basically, Matt, with what you adding in is just further establishing already what you're walking on. So go ahead, Travis. Go ahead and finish your bill.
So what about what about the Caucasian he makes up? Because that's something I want to deep dive on. Like that comes out of nowhere too. Like why all of a sudden am I a Caucasian? I can't figure out any relation to the Caucasus region in my background. I guess it's like you guys being called African. You can't figure out your connection.
Exactly. That's the point.
I mean, it's just like a joke. Like, what's going on here? Maybe I don't know where I'm from either.
That's exactly right.
Why am I called Caucasian? Like, there's nothing. Who came up with that? Like, why was that what is that? Like, it's weird.
It was part of the plan as well.
So this is the guy. They start playing this game at this point and start making up these new labels.
Yep.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Go ahead. Finish off. Go ahead. Finish off. You got it, Travis. You go ahead. You can go.
You want me to? Okay.
Oh,
yeah. All right.
Yeah. You got some more for?
Yeah. I'll get to section 6. So now let's start. I'll tire to manifest destiny now, right? So Columbus, what happens here? So Wheatley, the indigenous Indian that had been hostage as a 7-year-old, helps Washington launch the Colt, right? Columbia, this is real. I'm not showing you sources here, but man, it's crazy, guys. And you can just Google news articles. Go Google news articles, Lady Columbia, Goddess Columbia, 1800s. It'll pull up poems. It's wild, right? So it floods every aspect of culture. Now, nowadays, what would that mean? That would mean on our social media, you'd see Lady Columbia advertisements. That means you'd watch Netflix and there would be some mini series. I'm trying to just put in your head like what I mean. Like it was Instagram. It was the pop culture of the time, guys. Paintings, hymns, school books, political speeches, on and on. And guess what? It's like basically even in the artwork, she whitens over time. She whitened each decade. Her original look, that's what I was saying earlier, is based on the 1500s, what they called the Amerique, the Amerique. And they're seeing these beautiful women, they're melanated, they're cold chilling with it's like Garden of Eden look, posture all the time. And slowly but surely, this becomes, they kind of use that as their motif. And she actually starts out kind of that purple, you know how they'll do purple to represent black. Yeah. So there's some versions of her that are kind of purplish and all that, but get to like the 1830s, like it's saying here, she's white, and she is European white, like total on. So she's like this. Now it's basically sending the message to the indigenous, like, you're supposed to smooth out. You're supposed to phase this color out. And so in the 1830s, she appears above wagons headed west. That's the beginning of really, light-skinned Europeans just starting to show up and flood everywhere, right? Now you have a very white, ghostly-looking Lady Columbia. By the 1840s, she's over the railroads, right, and the telephone lines. By the 1860s, she's the divine justification clearing the continent, right? They pop her on top of the Capitol, I believe, in 1863 in the middle of the Civil War. That's how important this cult is, right? In the middle of the Civil War with no money, the Union was like, we got to put this gigantic cast iron goddess statue using a slave, which they're going to try and tell us is an African. Again, really, like, so there's another indigenous storyline to this, right? The guy that actually capped it and was like the mason behind it. That's how important this goddess is to the rulers of the country, is what I'm going to say with that. And then they, of course, give us, Lady Liberty finally in the 1880s. All right, so here it is, 1863-64. As a nation burned, Congress orders a new statue to crown the Capitol dome. They officially called it freedom, but every image, every pose, every symbol, she is Columbia, reborn in iron. And the sculptor's assistant, described, of course, as a slave, was actually a highly skilled black artisan named Philip Reed, whose skill set aligns perfectly with Southeastern indigenous stonemason traditions. And a descendant of the original Americans, renamed the Negro, assumed to be a slave, and then used to elevate the goddess of the syndicate atop its headquarters. In other words, let's use a guy that we've conquered to place our goddess on top of our capital in the middle of the fight for the country, at least from their standpoint, right? They're fighting for their lives anyways, right? So the message is unmistakable. This cult continues. The same people that started it in 1776 are still here. The conquest, therefore, continues. Columbia is still in charge. Now let's look at what happened to these ladies, right? Sally Fairfax trained Washington. Phyllis Wheatley crowned him. Both were eliminated from the story once their usefulness was complete. Fairfax, they exile her to England. She lives like a whole nother 50 years silence, can't have contact, send letters to the Americas, dies childless. This beautiful woman dies childless. She had been married to Lord Fairfax. Dead giveaway that she's an indigenous woman, right? They hostage, they use them up. They don't want them to pass on and have kids. They don't want that. They're extinguishing the bloodline on purpose. This goes on all the time, right? Wheatley, she's the poetry woman, right? They trot her around for like 15 years, all the big cities. Okay, she's part of the launch of the cult. She dies in her mid-30s, childless, high impoverished as well. So she probably had a falling out with her custodians, and they kicked her to the streets, guys. Yeah, there's a story to that they don't want to talk about. So you have two indigenous women erased so the cult of Columbia could arise, and so the people that they represented, the original Americans, would forget themselves. Their fate became the template for millions of Black Americans who were told they were from Africa, reclassified to sever them from their own ancestry, and then written out of the land in the history that their ancestors built. That's why this story is important. This isn't just a patriotic myth. This is the story of a cultural takeover. All right. They're taking over the continent physically, but to do that, they got to take it over spiritually and culturally. They got to take over people's minds. A goddess crafted from indigenous language and indigenous symbolism was then weaponized to erase the very people who inspired her creation. Can't make that up. Washington's rise was consecrated by two indigenous women whose bloodlines were likely intentionally extinguished. Manifest Destiny was merely the expansion of the first ritual act. Columbia did not descend to bless America. She descended to override it, to rewrite it. So once this memory returns, perhaps these old spells can weaken. So when a people begin to reclaim their true identity, the story of America shifts. Because once you remember who you are, nothing can be built on your forgetting, right? Once you have a sense of, man, this is what really went down. This is who's connected to this. Changes the whole narrative. It changes dynamics of how people even interact with each other.
That's a fact, and that's the whole mission. So basically, when we've been breaking down, a lot of people that come from the conscious community, they don't want to have conversations with other ideologies for one, and definitely people that don't look like them. Which when you do that, that's weak in your argument because you can't get the totality of what's really going on. Because when you do the research, we all are coming to the same conclusion if you're being honest without any bias. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a hard thing. I just like to tell people I've always loved history, and I got into it a couple years ago more professionally. And my actual focus was on the role of hidden wealth and all of this. It wasn't, but it just, just what I finally realized is the story of the history of the United States or of America since 1500 is the story, the unwinding of one of the civilization of that was here of the indigenous Indians, and it being replaced by another one being brought from Europe, but I think sourced from all over the world. But whatever, that it's one civilization replacing another. And you don't replace another by bringing in a bunch of that's not what. No. There's a bunch of things going on here. I believe too that it begins way before the Europeans. I think the Asians are over here mucking things up since like 1000 or 1100, and that and almost softening up the whole thing for the Europeans. Something's going on that we're never going to know. But I've always wondered why, there's a bunch of obvious Asian influence, clearly just in the people, but just in all the archaeology. And it's like, did somebody give the command, like, okay, you guys have done your job, you get out of the way, we're bringing in this new group of people? I don't know. My point is it's important, I think, just to know that there's a civilization here, and that's a fact. And you got all tons of art. And so if you want to pretend there was aliens or Vikings or black people that went and left and died, I just think it was a bunch of black people that were still here, which I think is the simplest explanation. A lot of times the simplest explanation is the most likely explanation. So I'm going to stick to it. That's all. Exactly. That's kind of how just so you know, that's my ideology and all this. That's my ideology.
I know, time and everything, but when you said this just now, and as you just broke down that cult of Columbia, you know what I mean? I just learned something tonight too live, see, because we didn't know what you was going to show us about that part. But see, that's how we even brought you on in the first place, because we were researching certain things, and we're looking at everything like everybody else on the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? And and we're like, hold on, what he's saying right now, something we've been researching, and we need to talk to him about that. You know what I'm saying? And I guess some people, because they caught up in race, an invention that's given to them by Blumenbach, that we argued about today on a reinterpreted idea when people say they dealing with their genealogy. And if you're dealing with genealogy, then your genealogy does not fall into a racial ideal based off of the time frame of 1795 of this guy by the name of Blumenbach. You know what I'm saying? And that's critical. That's critical race theory for anybody, no matter to what race category you fit into. Actually, you know what I'm saying? Because you are tied to nations of people and what took place based off of laws that were passed that go back to the 1500s. So it's interesting how people want to get caught up in certain things, though, Travis. And I want to just tell you that was a good layout of people understanding, and hopefully they get it. That it's a lot more to it than just what you just said. Like, oh, this racial, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a reason behind. That's why people are like, oh, it doesn't make any scientific sense, or it doesn't make any experiential sense, right? So why does it stick around? Well, that's because it's all about indoctrination. It's all about just keeping in our and it works. It works. My test with my white culture, whatever, is I'm like, when you see a guy that's from Pakistan or India that's as dark as night, do you think of him as a black guy? And they're like, oh, he's an Indian. I'm like, you see how it works? Yeah. What they mean by black in America is actually a phenotype, color plus. I mean, and you see that, of course, in the records and the Dawes Act and like all the stuff that went on. It's like, we got a type we're looking for, and it's like but anyhow, it's we're more, I guess, all caught up in it because that's on purpose. That's what they've done to us, and that's why when you read the older books, say pre-1800s, but especially 50, they're really talking about race as in terms of, like Mac was saying, nations or tribes or a culture of people. That's why I use that word cult. Because the cult is like you create a cult of people. We think a certain way. We treat strangers a certain way.
The
we
culture.
do business a certain way. That's all. We're not talking about cult like mine, like what's happened nowadays, the way they talk about it. And that is, I think, more what the old guys meant by race.
Yeah.
A lot of time.
That's all. And I'm only going to say, because once again, I want to make sure I lay this down before we slide tonight. Based off of Blumenbach, see, manifest destiny. So manifest your genealogy, right? As you've been doing out there for those who do it. And even if you do subscribe to me, calling yourself, and the dude in the chat I was saying Moorish, funny enough. When you do the genealogy of the book, based off even Roman as the referee, those people mean that it predates the religion tied to Abraham. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, Ishmael is tied to Abraham. And at that same time, that would mean that Ishmael would be a Hebrew and still be identified in certain regions, like the Saracens, as Moors, no matter what area they're in. And in English, they would be called Blackamoors, because not all people being identified in those regions over there called Moors were Muslims, as far as the movement that came around in 600 AD. Shout out to James the Just on that one. But at the same time, we only just showing that this is what's going on in the time frame of Blumenbach, because he knows, Equiano knows too. Hebrew, Moor, Blackamoor, Ethiopian, and Ethiopian is the term they're using because it's tied to the biblical. It's in the Bible, Greek translation. They're using the word Ethiopian. So, Berber, Muslim categories being biased. Afro-Sephardic. Make sure you understand that again. Sephardic, which is tied to the Lampeia de Sangre, Portugal and Spain. Shout out to Nanita. And how we've been showing that people being called Negroes prior to Guinea Negroes being classified in West Africa as Guinea for the category of the regions of those who came was tied to the Inquisition. Y'all call it slave trade. And I put in the chat too, South Atlantic is called the Ethiopian Ocean, for the record. You know what I mean? So it's just red race is not an indigenous category until either. So in the African side, let's get it out of there. Until you want to go off the 18th century Blumenbach narrative of biology that he came up with, that now they're trying to give you DNA connections to, or we're going to go off of the red race ideal either, because of the fact that we know there is multiple phenotypical groups of people in the New World classified by the historical documents from 1492, walking us into the time frame of the Puritans, or going into the time frame of Blumenbach, that Germanic man, Dutch. I don't give a damn where he's from, actually. So at the end of the day, it's just the facts of what's being laid out, and the manifest destiny has shifted a lot of people from manifesting their own destiny autonomously. And that's going for anybody. Go off your own genealogy, heritage, culture, languages, and things tied to what your people were going through regionally in the areas that you say your people you could trace back to. That was obviously, if we're talking about North America, prior to manifest destiny even happening, Declaration of Independence, before Blumenbach in 1775 and the 1795. This gets all your people were in America prior to all those things taking place.
Yep.
Go ahead, though.
Nah, you got it, bro. Go ahead.
I mean, anybody got anything to say? I mean, I want to make sure I don't talk, because I don't know. It was that's my summary in a matter of the manifest destiny ideal. And it's not like an ending conversation, but I know our time for the night, so we can keep it, you know what I mean, in the loop. Yeah. So I don't want to vent off too much, but that's why I'm saying if anybody has anything to
let's leave it with so in these last few minutes, let's
our own destiny.
Yeah, so let's manifest how we want them to be able to receive what we're trying, because as historians, sometimes we get excited by the facts, but people who are new to this, to try to help them grasp what we just explained to them, in the old, because everybody didn't catch it from the beginning. We got about 100 people through multiple platforms watching us right now, so just give them a summation.
I mean, I gotta say it as plainly as possible over the time of the party doing what we've been doing, and we've been manifesting destiny. Shout out to Gullah. Shout out to the Gullah Mass, choir. You feel me? Shout out to the social club. Shout out to Maroonville. Everything you see us build out, it cost on the plane of action. We've been doing it, right, Monte? Manifesting destiny.
Every day.
How we identify with the cultures, theology, and our ideals of what we correlate to in the regions of people and the national ideals of politics that we're dealing with. We're manifesting destiny. You hear me? But in historical sense, as we broke it down tonight, these people, and that's going off Sullivan. You know what I mean? They came up with it 1846. People got to zone in on a historical ideal of the groups of people prior to this race theory coming about, that people are red races, Native Americans, they're not American Indians. Only the, Pan Indians, that's black folk mostly, that know they got heritage, tie, but they, don't think nobody else was here for some reason. Because they're right about the fact of a regional area, but Mexico, which is manifest destiny tied to what we talked about tonight, which is now North America, those people necessarily phenotypically didn't look like some of the people we got in 13 colony territory.
That was New Spain. Yeah.
And they're not even in contact with the same Puritan,
the same people,
or the 13th colony British situation. You see what I'm saying? So
correct.
We got to put all these things in context, me not being non-biased about our indigenous ancestry. Shout out to Swarthy folk, that's, Aboriginal folk and all the other folk and our mixtures of things. And because I don't tell people what their genealogy is, because you got to manifest and know your own roots to what you manifest, right? That's what they tell you to do. Connect back to your tree so you don't get hanged from it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
So then we got Travis coming in, basically explaining to you. So the people think marketing and propaganda is new. This is one of the oldest forms of control. Right. So then you bring in the whole Lady of Columbia, how this was used to basically say, this is how we will want you to believe in westward expansion and really internalize it, just like patriotism. You know what I'm saying? Like Uncle Sam, they're very good at creating this imagery to go with the movement to get the people to buy in because they want the support. So Travis, end us off in the landing message, and then also, tell them about your academy and, plug that.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, and this is what my site, American Ancestry Decoded, is about, which I'll just focus on for this. And that's basically the phrase is remembrance conquers oblivion. Because what they've done is that by erasing identity, they've put all these tribes and nations into oblivion, right? And it's actually is a throwback to like ancient pagan ways of remembering thing. And even your culture, your indigenous culture, memory was huge. Only it was oral memory. And that's why they had backup to backups to backups, preserving oral memory and encoding it in ways of walking in the gardens and walking different paths. And so it's also found, and I'm not a big Christian, but I know Jesus says, do this in remembrance of me. So it's a powerful tool, memory and remembrance. And so my study sort of took me in this direction, and I'm like, this is what this history is really all about. And man, I mean, here's the thing is people becoming aware like what really went down. And they created a new identity for people, and it works over time. It just takes a few generations. If you have friends who are first generation immigrants in America, the best ones are the second generation, right? They don't think they're Vietnamese. They think they're American. It's just like that. So you don't think the same thing happened to your ancestors 400 years ago when they got converted, or whether it was under duress or not. There's whole new systems coming at them, and people are pragmatic, right? And so how long before the will is broken, the resistance is futile? 60 years or something, and you're just an American citizen or colonist after that point if you got with the program. One of the untalked about facts of history is that many of you, when you were converted, if you were property holders, you just became good English citizens with the rights of that. If you were a hostage, you were typically elite, and they were using you as security to make your parents behave. And part of the sweetening of that was at age 21, you got released as an English citizen with all the rights of an English citizen, as long as you stayed in America. So they were doing all this manipulation of people as they're converting them. They're especially manipulating the elite, right? In this whole thing. So I just want to tie a lot of that together and also add to it that this Columbia, it's all part of overall what I call the spiritual warfare that was used. And you see it in the Puritans from the very beginning. Real quick, I'll just quote a few things from a sermon in 1610, launching Lord Delaware, whose real name is Lord de la War. He's the Lord of War. So the state of Delaware is named basically the state of the Lord of War. And he says in his sermon, this war must never cease until the Indians be brought under complete submission. And what's the first step in that? First, strike their priest and their temples. You see, that's always what went on first. Okay, the whole idea of Mars and Minerva, right? Mars is the god of war, Minerva is your owl, god of wisdom, the priest, right? And they got the priest going right there with the Knights Templar right there too, right? Ready to take off, assassinate a few elites. This wasn't a full-on invasion. They never sent 1,000-ship armada. Okay, they never sent 1 million Europeans over there at once. So how did they do this? How did they do it? Do you really think they brought a bunch of Africans from the jungle with no skills in this topography?
No connection?
No way.
Yeah, and then use them to accomplish the mission. Only if you think there was nobody here. But if you realize there were people here, you got to go with what I'm talking about. It makes way more sense. And that's how they do it in history. It's how they do it in history. They convert the elite and they turn them as their vassals. That's King Herod. King Herod was a Jew working for the Romans against the Jews. That's the history of America. There's a whole bunch of Indians playing that role. And we just don't know it. They just don't tell us. They don't tell you. That's the logic. It had to have happened.
I want you to know when you said it like that. When you said it like that, because I'm gonna tell you what people are missing. Also, how you just said
Thomas West. That's correct.
Yeah, definitely. These people that we're even talking about in history and what's going on. Again, there's no race theory. See, people got to make sure that's laid out. Like, get it out your mind. In 1492. There's no
De la Wars of Huguenot. All these guys in the 1600s, guys, they're all these Iberians we were talking about earlier. Right. The leaders, the guys like doing the dirty work. They're up 90% from Iberia.
Now, if people think within the ideal of what there was no race theory and that all your people came out to Guinea, and that if you think that the Guinea by itself was isolated and that the Portuguese who claimed it going into 1492 based off of things that were, they're the Europeans that went into West Africa. They claimed it in 1494, right? Treaty of Tordesillas, right? You know what I'm saying? So within that, we got to keep it very understanding of who are these developing a trade situation, even prior to what we're documenting. And now how, again, the race theory don't come about until what? 18th century. Right. 18th century, which is after the United States of America. That's clear to
and right along with Colombia. Yeah, I mean, either you think it's all happens, it's like how many,
coincidences. No coincidences. Yeah, no way.
It's like when I attacked the Freedmen's Bank. I'm like, so everything just went perfectly wrong for the good guys and right for the bad. Oh, okay,
At the same time, no way.
No way. They cover all that up because they know it's not the mainstream. See, this manifest destiny term, Sullivan and those Democrats, funny enough, who applied it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In their ideal of expansionist American ideology of saying, we're the Americans, we're expanding, and we're going to grow, and we're going to take over all these areas after the United States of America. For people that be talking about restoration, reparations, and all these different things, you would need to understand manifest destiny to understand the origin of your people and what they were being called to be restored, redeemed, repaired, and the ideal of what manifest destiny did to your people on the land. Ain't it? Or am I wrong? What you think? Am I tripping? What y'all think in the chat? Am I tripping? Where did you need to know?
Let us know. I mean, to me, and that's why. So real quick, Travis, this is why the whole point of right now where we are is if you know that you are American, regardless of what your ancestry is, this is who needs to be your focus for us to correct things here, not for everybody else, because that's really idiotic.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, there you go. You just said it. That's yeah. Are you trying to market my business, my site?
Hey, that's
No,
the
why I
whole
just
mission.
came,
American
I just
ancestry.
came to
Yeah,
it. And listen, it's also for like you know how many guys walk around me who only know like half that they're like they're not really sure. It's like, dude,
that's majority of
let's
people.
put back in that. And I'm not even talking about even what they're even from in Europe because a whole bunch of mislabeling and they
For
eliminated
all of
Caucasian
us.
tribes and Baltic tribes in the 1800s and
Yep.
yeah, it's a worldwide thing. They really did it to like it's a whole thing that I think that went on over a couple hundred years, man, all around the world, and here we are. Hey, yeah,
There it is. Forensic. That's what we doing. That's what we
yeah,
like to
that
do.
one's forensic, and I'm switching
Yeah.
more to the American Ancestry Decoded. That's the one I'm going to focus on
Okay.
now. But I'm setting up this academy in the future to put classes on for people to learn how to like a method, my methodology, anyways, for like assessing history and interpreting it, and like putting like your own theory down, saying this is what really went down, and I have a good reasons for it. So that's coming soon.
And so right now it's American Ancestry Decoded on TikTok. That's the name now, right?
Yeah, and on the web too. You
Yep.
can go to the website and pop in your email. I got 5 reports in there so far. I'm building a big library for that one, guys. You check out, I got 30-page reports. So a lot of just neat stuff, kind of like what we were doing today, but even more detail.
No, that's perfect. So as always, definitely appreciate it. Travis, anytime I hit him up, it's always, hey, I'm ready to do
there's
it.
so much to talk about, man.
Right.
And I just want to add on, Mac, one more thing. Learn more about your civilization. I don't mean the culture like that. We all kind of still stays with. I'm talking about your economic system, man. Like that. So what I want to tell people is this. At the end of the day, if what's all of this matter if your culture and civilization is the same as what we live in now? Then who cares? But if there's actually something that was better, different and better, whoa. Now we all got something to get really interested about, including people that aren't melanated at all, because you don't think there's a ton of guys that look like me that wouldn't like something better.
Right.
Of course.
So I just want to put that out there. I love reading about
your culture. American, you know what I'm talking about?
I love reading about like pre-1800s America when they're talking about the agriculture and the trade. I'm like, dude, they had so much going on, man.
Right.
This was by this point it was like a remnant. It wasn't even the good. It wasn't the
Correct.
the top.
Yeah.
So that's all. I just want to put that out there to people.
I'm gonna say, matter of fact, and I really only brought you back for this one because of the fact that we people are asking. By the way, they want to get people obviously are seeing our collaborations, and we appreciate everybody that's tapping in that wanted and requested it. So we didn't want to call it a part 2 because we didn't want to emphasize, even though the last time I brought you back, that was me being genuine with you about the fact that when we brought you the first time on and how you brought up the Anglo-Saxon Protestant and that we were doing our research genuinely, non-biased, Puritan connection to it and all that. And
it is what it is. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was genuine like me. Let's talk back to Travis because he said something. Let me go back to him and you already are building on it and see where you at with it. You know what I'm saying? So this is why the party ain't racist. See, they can't because we just broke down that we can't be racist based on what we just broke down tonight. Because we understand
it's
that
kind of funny, right? I mean,
I'm
it's
not
sort of
tied
like
to Blumenbach. See, I'm not
it
Blumenbach. I'm talking about?
It does limit, and it's very limiting, right? It's like, man, but there's some talent over there. Well, he does not the right skin color, right? It's like self-defeating. Yeah, but that's why it's a new thing. They didn't do that before. They didn't think this way until it's a new thing.
And my people that were in America, right, prior to 1775, right, and like all my mixtures and everything and the genealogy that were here prior to the race theory. Or the Declaration of Independence, they call it foundation, or some people say, right? That mixture of people, melanated or non-melanated, that are considered today with American ancestry, you know what I'm saying? If you're doing your research on that level, right? I mean, we as the black folk, we like to say we on the maroon side of it. You hear me? Estelusti, Gullah Estelusti, yes, sir. But at the same time, we understand that our mixture and everybody that's within the dynamic that look, copper colored, tawny, dark, Swarthy, and all the other terms, Negro, and Ethiopian light, you know what I'm saying?
Ethiopian light,
I mean, hey,
Negroid,
Blackamoor,
Negroid, Oid. Okay.
But even the people that's being Caucasian, Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin.
I
have no idea.
That's a white man to me.
I have no I have no, like, it doesn't resonate with me at all. You know, like, man, Caucasian. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, all right.
Yeah.
So what do we do exactly?
How's that
Exactly.
work?
Give me,
What's next after that? Where's Caucasianville?
give me something better, man.
Yeah.
Caucasian. That's it.
Mhm.
That's all you
Let me
is?
just be English or something. I don't Caucasian. I get nothing. No pride in that.
Them people that I know down here in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, you know what I mean? 954-305-561. Hey, these people know their mixtures. You down here where I'm at.
Oh yeah,
you know,
especially down there. Yeah, I used to live down there. Yeah.
right. People say they're mixed between the nationalities, even if they would look like a white person.
Yeah.
If they walked around somewhere else. So it's like,
I had people think I was Latin. They thought I might be from Argentina because you have a lot of Euros, right, in Argentina who didn't have it mixed. And I get Russian.
Oh, yeah.
I get Russians asking me, yeah. I'm like, really? But nobody said Caucasian yet. I'm not from the Caucasus. I don't look like I'm from Turkmenistan. Isn't that where the Caucasus, right? Yeah. I mean, God bless you guys, but I don't think I look like I'm from there. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, keep it simple. Hey, listen. Hey, we keep it simple when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, let's keep it real. Hey, that's the whole point of the conversation that, hey, everybody in America that's talking about foundational, who's here, delineation, nationality, race theory. We just showed you where race theory come from. We got to stop in America as a nation of people. And hey, I'm telling you not to delineate knowing who you are and your heritage, indigenous, non-indigenous, whatever. But autonomously know that this is a nation at this point, America, that our heritage is tied to, that predates it being developed. 1775, 76. You heard me?
Yeah.
So tap in.
And hey, there's a great, and you guys had a kick-ass economy from what I can tell, and redistribution of wealth. You know, that might be another reason they don't want you guys to really know your identity. Correct. They don't want a whole bunch of people, you know, I had somebody say to me, that sounds a little bit like communism. I was like, you know, don't call it that. See, we can't call it that. But if we start talking about indigenous economic, it's not for me to do this, but somebody needs to do that. That's what I'm going to get down the road. I look forward to that day.
That's definitely the goal, you know, building this as a network. We want to cover, we don't just cover just the history. You got to know about economics. You got to know about politics, because this was all a part of the plan.
Yeah, your marriage laws were different. The way you treated your children was supposedly quite different, like a lot nicer. The Europeans would be like, they spoil their children. Yeah, it's the whole thing. So I just encourage that among people, man. I mean, it's just fascinating to see another way things were done. And you'll to me, a lot of times, like, dude, that sounds great. That sounds like a great time. So maybe there's a sense of what maybe was lost by these United States taking over the whole place, you know?
Hey, Matt, closing thoughts, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody, you know, that hung with us tonight. I know we went a little bit over, but sometimes, you know, we at the end of the year. Monte, I know I said it to you behind the scene, but I'm going to let you know we go to the solstice. You know what I mean? December 21st. It happens to fall on a Sunday. So we going, you know, for my indigenous folk out there and all the folk that deal with any festivities of this time of the year, harvest after harvest of, you know what I mean? We just going to do a show for that. And after that, we going to see you in the new year. You know what I'm saying? We're going to say that live to y'all tonight. And we appreciate, again, everybody been watching us since we came back every Sunday.
You guys do a show for Mardi? You do a show for Mardi Gras?
Oh yeah.
Every time it's some digital shit happening.
I got to be a part of that. Okay. I've been at it. Hey, can I just say one thing? I know, just because of Mardi Gras, I've been like 3 or 4 times, and this is a great like white person ignorant story and loss of identity. I'd always see that like Chief Giacomo and the Indian, and I think, why do these black people dressing like Indians? And this is like 20 years ago. Yeah. And now I'm like, damn, man, that just shows you how I'm an educated blah, blah, blah guy. And that's exactly what I thought. Now I look and I go, oh, I'm such an idiot. Now I get the whole, but I'm like, man, what I thought is what 90% of white people that go to Mardi Gras will think when they see Black Indian, they'll be like, why are these Africans looking like, and that just shows you the power, like, and I don't know how many of the black people might not even realize it. You know,
a lot.
I mean, them looking around, I'm like, why are you right? So that's a whole other thing to think about. But the power of all this, what we're talking about, guys, is real. It's just year after year, generation after generation. You know, it has an effect no matter who you are.
Well, yeah. As a matter of fact, somebody in the chat, I appreciate them saying it's their pleasure. And I'm just to answer them. We know the New Year's on March 21st.
New Year's in March. That's right.
Yeah,
This is the commercial year. This is the commercial year about the
that our last show is going to be December 21st on the solstice, and then after that we'll see you in the commercial New Year, and then the New Year in spring, the equinox. We'll see you around. But hey, Maroonville.
So December 21st, right? Solstice.
The solstice. Yeah, that's all we're doing. We're just aligning with the stars, as I say, astronomically.
Darkest day, right? Darkest day. Longest day. Longest night, right?
After we're gonna light up some sky because it's gonna be dark outside. You heard me? Yeah. But at the same time, don't think we foolish. We just gotta keep up with what we doing programming wise. So we gotta say for everybody that's tapped in, just make sure you know we ain't no sleep on it. You ain't catch us off guard. No, you ain't gonna catch us out on the chat. No.
Hey, and also, shout out to George Myers, longtime supporter, for the super chat. And then also, y'all, we trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We've been climbing up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so help us with the push going into this commercial New Year because we're trying to do commerce. So we need as many subscribers as possible. It's free, y'all. Like button, sharing, leaving a comment. It's free. Appreciate it. Like the super chats too. Hey, yeah, tell them about Maroonville, bro.
Yeah, Maroonville, theatomisparty.com. Click on the link.
Maroonville is on Facebook.
No, Facebook is free, obviously, but I'm talking about the exclusive, like all the transcripts tied to the bill
for the Patreon.
Sunday. That's going to be on Patreon. Maroonville, the exclusive space where we do drop all the sources of these bills go on that. You know what I mean? We share everything from all of our people that support what we've been doing on Maroonville on Facebook. But if you want to get the exclusive content from the bills that you see us put together, that's going to be there. And even obviously from the Sunday show, so y'all don't think we capping, you know what I'm saying, in our rapping, that we put the sources tied to the video on Patreon. So tap in with us. So either way, thank everybody that's tapped in. Shout out to the party. We see y'all next week. You hear me? Peace.
All right, y'all. We gone. Peace.
Thank you. It was great.
Could take quite a bit of time.
Pardon my autonomy. I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces. How the fuck you bummy and broke, but a pale racist? My lineage free people of color with a left make each nigga. This right here Maroon, now it ain't burgundy. If you plotting murder, I'm certain that you'll need surgery. Hurt from when the burner squeeze. Protecting tribe business. Only consulting with governments, tribe to tribe with it. Please don't confuse us with those considered native. Semi-autonomy never was in our nature. Just address me as Esther Lusty. Wild Indian status and Cherokees riding Ruchis. In my war bonnet, if you want it, bring it to your region. And black forces, the same color the European. Pardon my autonomy, I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
Stories in a file, a barcode born to reconcile. But when I breathe, I feel the flame of every soul that wore my name.
They test my blood, but not my song. They name me right, but spell me wrong. Every drop still testifies. We survived what couldn't die.
We remember the hands that pray, yeah. We remember the price they paid. We remember the light, the climb, 'cause the blood remembers time. We remember who we are, no code, no
redefine our glory.
They say I'm part of this and that, but who recorded where I'm at? I'm every hymn my people sang before this nation knew our name.
We remember the songs they wrote. We remember the words they spoke.
We remember the old and young.
The fight still lives in every tongue.
They tried to write us out the page,
but we remember
our truth don't age with time or cage.
We remember
the blood still moves from line to line.
We remember
every prayer becomes a sign.
We remember
the bayou winds of Carolina rain. We kept our roots
through joy and pain.
They built their test,
we built our tribe,
and the proof is still alive.
We remember the name they changed.
We remember
what they rearranged.
We remember
in heart and mind.
The blood remembers time.
We remember who we are.
We remember near or far.
Our spirit still. They can test this flesh and every name, every prayer, every sign. Every name, every the blood remembers time.
Yes, Lord. We left this truth in harmony. They feed the world with the money that we get. Yet our little ones cry with so much life to live. Life to live. Life to live. We stand in the storm, still trusting in love. But when the table's set, who's feeding us? Who's feeding us? Who's feeding us? Who's feeding us? Millions were taken that belonged to the children. Food meant for their hands never reached the building. A system built the doorway and opened it wide. Gave others all the comfort while we stood outside. The officers in power, pouring out hate. When not one gentle blessing reached the neighborhoods we made. They keep saying equity, calling it trust. Yet the blessings keep on flowing everywhere but us. Get our little ones cry.
So much life to live.
Ooh, life to live.
Life to live.
We show up faithful, standing strong and just.
So when the table set, who's feeding us?
Who's feeding us? We carry the burden of taxes and patience. Still we watch our schools fade in desperation. Silence for the fraud when it happens far away. But scared hands eyes on us whenever we stray. Our voices keep lifting each election year, yet the love and protection never seem to come near. Promises repeated, settle in it does, while resources in favor never fall us. Lift our hopes, lift our hearts, guide our children, got that star. No more silence, no more hugs. Share this nation. Who's speeding up? Who's speeding up? Let's feed the world with the money that we give. Let our little ones cry. So much life to live. Ooh, life to live. Life to live. When we stand in faith, then offer our trust. Tell us again, who's feeding love? When we stand in faith, then offer our trust. Tell us again, who's feeding love? Who's feeding us? 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 Who's feeding us?
I was born with a name and a soul, but the paper said I fit a different role. Stamped and filed in a system so cold. They never asked me, they just told. They call me person, but that ain't who I am. I come from people, from spirit, from land. It's more than a label, it's how they divide. But I know the truth deep down inside. People got power, people got pain. Persons of paper caught up in the game. Don't box me in, don't steal my name. I'm not just a number, I'm not their shame. People rise up, speak what you know. You're not a person, you're a soul that glows. Some say it's just words, don't make it deep. But names are spells and the cuts run deep. How they define you's how they bind you. But truth don't sleep, it'll find you. All this legal fiction, built on omission. They rewrote the books and hid opposition. But we're not words, we're not just names. We're breathing proof they can't contain. People got power, people got pain. Persons are paper caught up in the game. Don't box me in, don't steal my name. I'm not just a number, I'm not their shame. People rise up, speak what you know. You're not a person, you're a soul that glows. No barcode, no chain, no check in the file. I'm walking with grace, I'm walking with style. I'm not a thing in a courtroom slide. I'm the people and I won't be denied.